now, from Metro Detroit and the Steele Twins recording studio in beautiful Traverse City, Michigan, here are your hosts for the week for the Outside Blitz, the fabulous Scotty Fraytown and the Cannonball, Alex Steele.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Outside Blitz. I am your host, the fabulous one, Scotty Fraytown, along with my co-host, the Cannonball, Alex Steele, joining me from the beautiful Traverse City up there at Steele Twins studio. We are sans the bootleg better this week. Last week it was Boots' birthday. This week, man, it's the holiday season, and the figgy pudding.
Is that what we're calling it now?
Yeah. Well, do, I guess, because Boots,
yeah.
I mean, the holidays have overtaken the bootleg bettor's life for the moment. It's gotten a little bit crazy over here for the bootleg bettor. So Boots, enjoy your holidays for the moment, and we've got this thing. This is why we've got a 3-man team.
That's right.
Yep. So we are rocking and rolling. Alex, welcome back to the show. Hey, we're jumping into week 15 stuff. We got week 16 on the horizon this week.
Oh, yeah. We're coming down the stretch.
Yeah, we're down to the wire here. There's a lot of good games going on. A lot of things that we like. Look, I was talking about it last week, how there were a lot of things that I wanted to come true for the playoff picture, and a lot of it started to come true. A lot of it really started to morph into what I wanted to see happen. So I'm like, ooh, here we are. The playoffs are right here, right where we wanted them. You know, this is what we wanted. So I'm excited. I'm very fired up. We've got scores to jump into. We've got news around the league. We've got a huge, catastrophic, should I say.
A titanic shift.
Yeah, in our rookie rankings that was just flabbergasting, I know. But when we were putting them together, I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Also, we've got our predictions, and we've got our updated records for those. Alex closing the gap by 3 in that. So it's been exciting. Let's jump into our scores for week 15 and our news around the league. Let's jump in. Here are our scores for week 15 in the NFL, starting out with the huge upset on Thursday Night Football. The Falcons go out and beat the Buccaneers 29-28. Last-minute field goal. The Falcons, they completely blow this lead in the fourth quarter that they had. Kirk Cousins, man, goes out 30 for 44, 373, 3 touchdowns in this game. He has no interceptions in this one. Mistake-free football. Bijan Robinson, 19 carries for 93 yards and a touchdown. He has a 4.9 average on the day. The big story in this one was Kyle Pitts. Where the hell has this been for 5 years? 11 receptions, 166 yards, 3 touchdowns on the day. Bijan Robinson also has 8 receptions for 82 yards. He has a monster day. David Sills, out of nowhere, 6 receptions for 78 yards, including a huge catch that gets him in field goal range for the game-winning field goal. And then Darnell Mooney, 3 for 35. As for the Bucs, Baker Mayfield struggles. 19 for 34, 277, 2 touchdowns. He throws a pick in this one. Bucky Irving, just 16 carries for 60 yards, just a 3.8 average. Mike Evans, he comes back, 6 receptions, 132 yards, looking like the Mike Evans of old. Emeka Egbuka, 4 receptions for 64 yards. Jalen McMillan, 2 for 38. Chris Godwin, 4 for 20 and a touchdown. Bucky Irving had 1 for 11. And then David Culp, the tight end, 1 for 6 and a touchdown.
Looks like his name's Devin Culp, but we wouldn't have known.
Yeah, I don't know why I said David. Devin Culp. I mean, at the end of the day, who? Yeah. The Falcons, man, they go out. The Buccaneers look like they're in this downward spiral out of nowhere. Their head coach goes on Todd Bowles goes on this horrific, expletive-laden tirade after the game where he was just absolutely furious, said that his team didn't care enough. Man, he was mad.
Are we back in the Mike Green era? You know, they are who we thought they were.
I mean, it almost seems like it. I mean, it was very Dennis Green. It really was.
Dennis Green, yeah.
It was very Dennis Green. He was mad. A lot of F-bombs, a A lot of stuff you probably shouldn't be saying on network television. But I mean, it was just like, wow, this was wild.
Well, when your division is this close and the playoffs are right around the corner and you are in a dead heat with the division rival Carolina Panthers, and your season is basically riding on the fact that you're going to win this division, I don't know. It's like, how do you allow a team that's already been eliminated from playoff contention, play upset like that?
Yeah, this is why we're going to be jumping around these scores a little bit, because
you thought this was a nasty upset? Buckle up, kids, because there's someone that's been eliminated from playoff contention that we didn't see coming.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about that momentarily, but I'm going to be jumping around these scores just a little bit, because in conjunction with this one that took place with the Buccaneers losing, they kind of get a lucky break. They get a mulligan here, because if you look, the Saints go out and upset the Carolina Panthers seemingly out of nowhere, 20-17. So Tyler Shuck and company, Shuck has actually been playing really good ball for about 3 weeks now. He goes in this one, 24 for 32, 272 yards and a touchdown. He plays mistake-free football. He also has 8 carries for 32 yards. Alvin Kamara still not back. Devin Neal takes over as the starting running back, 7 carries for 28 yards and a touchdown. But Devin Neal gets hurt in this game, so it was Evan Hull, but it's now looking like Audric Estime might be taking over as the lead back for the upcoming game for the Saints. So it's kind of an interesting situation for them. Receiving-wise, Chris Olave, 6 receptions for 85 yards and a touchdown. He's quietly, by the way, Chris Olave, having a really good year. People don't realize it because he plays on just a downtrodden Saints team. But Chris Olave quietly having a good season. Devon Villay, 5 receptions for 69 yards. Audric Estime also had 3 for 39. Kevin Austin Jr., 3 for 33. Juwan Johnson, 4 for 30. Meanwhile, for the Panthers, Bryce Young, 15 for 24, 163 yards and a touchdown. Young also had 7 carries for 49 yards. Rico Dowdle, he gets 16 carries for 49 yards and a touchdown. Jalen Coker, 4 receptions for 60 yards and a touchdown. Xavier Legette, 2 for 39. Tedero McMillan, just 2 for 25. We'll be talking about him shortly. Tommy Tremble, 2 for 13. And for the Panthers, they've got all kinds of problems here. Obviously, Ted McMillan, he's struggled the last 3 weeks, and now he didn't practice on Wednesday due to foot and ankle injuries. Right now, he's listed as questionable. Also, their offensive tackles, Ika Mekwonu, he's got a knee injury. He didn't practice. Their other offensive tackle, Taylor Moton, he's got a back injury. He's limited in practice on Wednesday. So they've got all kinds of problems. The last thing that you need for Bryce Young right now, especially, we've seen how it works when that young man does not have an offensive line, Alex. Here we are.
Yeah,
that's the last thing you need.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we play the schedule game here, there's not much to play because you only got 3 weeks left in the season. Guess what the Carolina Panthers have to eat? They have to eat a Tampa Bay sandwich with, a Seahawks sandwich with Tampa Bay slices of bread. So they host the Bucs at home. They host the Seahawks at home. Then they got to go to Tampa to finish off the season again. So it's back-to-back division games with a surly NFC West team right in the middle. It's like I'm telling you, this Carolina Panthers team is on a razor-thin wire, and these two teams are on a collision course. We we're talking about it. We could very well see Tampa Bay versus Carolina for the NFC South. And if I was a betting man, I'd put it on the Bucs because the Buccaneers, they have the Dolphins on December 28th, and they have to go to Miami. But I don't think they have too much trouble going to Miami. So I think the Dolphins game is going to be the X factor when it comes to what happens in the NFC South.
Yeah, that Dolphins game, and look, the Dolphins, they're kind of a weird team too. They're out here they're doing all kinds of crazy stuff. But in the NFC South right now, I'm with you. I think this could come down to a Week 18 matchup between the Panthers and the Bucs. We could be seeing a showdown between the two of them, and we were talking about it last week. And now, as things go, it's looking more and more like we're going to see Panthers and Bucs Week 18 showdown for the South, and I'm fired up about it. It was looking like the Panthers had an opportunity, had a real chance to take the lead in that division, and not so much with that loss to the Saints. So we're going to see how that goes moving forward.
Yeah, it's been hot. It's been hot and cold since their loss to the Bills. I mean, it's basically win-loss, win-loss, win-loss. You know, another team's been doing win-loss, win-loss. We'll talk about them shortly.
Oh, you're talking about the Buffalo Bills?
That might be one of them. Now, I was thinking of another one, but I'll tell you when we get there. And before we get into this, go ahead.
Let's talk about the Baltimore Ravens real quick, because let's talk about them. They go out and just decimate the Cincinnati Bengals 24-0.
Wow.
Yeah,
we haven't seen anything like that since the pre-Joe Burrow days.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson goes 8 for 12, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Look, this was just pure domination, and the Ravens didn't have to do much here. Derrick Henry, 11 carries, 100 yards, just plain and simple.
Just roll the bowling ball.
Yep, Keaton Mitchell, 8 carries for 66 yards. Zay Flowers, 3 receptions, 68 and a touchdown. DeAndre Hopkins, 1 reception for 32. Rasheen Ali, he actually had a pretty electric touchdown. He was pretty quick there. 2 receptions, 32 yards and a touchdown. And then meanwhile, for the Bengals, Joe Burrow, 25 for 39, 225 yards, 2 interceptions on the day. Chase Brown, 13 carries for 53 yards. Samaje Perine, 14 carries for 42 yards. Jamar Chase, 10 receptions for 132. Chase Brown, 7 receptions for 37 yards. Tanner Hudson, 3 receptions for 16. Mitchell Tinsley, 1 for 16. T. Higgins, he wasn't in this game due to a concussion. He was in concussion protocol, and he continues to remain in concussion protocol as of this week. The Bengals have said that they do intend to start Joe Burrow for the remainder of the season in spite of being eliminated.
Why?
Yeah, I said the same thing. Why? It just seems silly. The Bengals just they're doing stupid stuff. I don't understand why you would start your all-pro quarterback who's coming off of injury. Just sit him the fuck down. It doesn't.
Yeah, the Bengals are out. They're eliminated from playoff contention. I mean, what are you doing? You know, if Boots were here, he'd be having a conniption fit over this, and I'm 100% in agreement with him. You're starting your star quarterback who gets hurt often, and he's your cash cow, all right, and he's one of like 4 or 5 players that you have millions upon millions upon millions of dollars wrapped up in. If one of those guys gets hurt, like at the end of the season, can't start for the first 3 weeks of next season, you got problems.
Yeah, it's silly as hell. I don't understand what the hell they're thinking. It's just dumb. Meanwhile, for the Ravens, they go out, they win this game, they keep themselves firmly in playoff contention. Obviously, we'll be talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers momentarily here because they are technically still leading the division. But let's go ahead and point out the fact that the Ravens did make a really good signing here. They signed defensive tackle Travis Jones to a 3-year, $40.5 million extension. It's $13.5 million per year, so they get a really good starting defensive tackle. He's posted PFF grades as a 70 or higher for the last 3 seasons for them. I like the signing. He's a really good defensive tackle. And the Ravens, they keep a guy around that's been a starter for them. I really like what they're doing here. It's just a smart play by them. And they get a really good defensive tackle on a dime, really. I mean, he fits the scheme, and they get him for, $13.5 per year. That's like nothing for a high-end defensive tackle.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's – yeah, and we've always said that Baltimore has been a very savvy organization. Savvy with their draft capital, savvy with their contracts, even though they have, the mind-boggling decision to extend Mark Andrews to his contract. But, you can't be perfect. But in this day and age, we've always said on the show, Baltimore knows how to move pieces around effectively and make the most use out of them.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're doing just that. This was a smart play by them. Well, we questioned the other signing. This one made a lot of sense. Meanwhile, for the elsewhere around the division, on Monday Night Football, their direct competition for the division, the Pittsburgh Steelers go out and pull out a victory over the Miami Dolphins. The Steelers go out and win 28-15. The Steelers advance to 8-6. They maintain their one-game lead over the Baltimore Ravens after this week. Tua Tagovailoa for the Dolphins, he goes 22 for 28 for 253 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. He gets sacked 4 times on the day. Devin Achane gets 12 carries for just 60 yards. Devin Achane also had 6 receptions for 67 on the day. Darren Waller 7 receptions for 66 yards and 2 touchdowns. Greg Dulcich gets 2 for 46. Jalen Waddle 2 for 26. Julian Hill 2 for 25, and then Malik Washington 1 for 10. Meanwhile, for the Steelers, Aaron Rodgers 23 for 27, 224, 2 touchdowns on the day. Kenneth Gainwell 13 carries for 80 yards. He had a hell of a day. Jaylen Warren was sick leading into this game. So Gainwell took basically a 50-50 split, but he made the most of it. Gainwell looked like a far superior and much more healthy rusher in this situation. He gets 12 carries for 33 yards. Gainwell gets 13 for 80. Jaylen Warren gets 12 for 33. Jonnu Smith gets 1 carry for 14 yards and a touchdown. Connor Hayward gets 4 carries for 4 yards, and he gets a tush-push touchdown in this one from the 1. DK Metcalf, 3 receptions, 55 yards and a touchdown. Kenneth Gainwell also had 7 for 46. Pat Freiermuth, 3 for 45. Darnell Washington, the big tight end, 3 for 25. And then Marquez Valdez-Scantling randomly pops up, 1 catch for 19 yards and a touchdown. It happens from time to time. But the Steelers, they go ahead and get a W here. Very entertaining W. The Steelers had a situation leading into this game. Linebacker TJ Watt, he had to have surgery to repair a partially collapsed lung. It took place during a routine dry needling procedure. We saw this type of thing happen a few years ago with the Tyrod Taylor situation, where he had his lung punctured during a routine type of situation, and that's what actually led to Justin Herbert actually becoming the starter for the Chargers, if you recall. Well, this is a very similar situation. Punctured lung, dry needling type of situation, and here we are. TJ Watt suffers a punctured lung. It partially collapsed. They repaired the situation. He's fine, but he's just kind of recovering. But they do say he's expected to play again in 2025. So he's not done for the season, but he is recovering. It was reported by his brother, J.J. Watt, former Texans defensive end and Cardinals defensive end, that he's fine. He'll be back. He's recovering. So that was a kind of a little bit of a scare there for TJ Watt. As for the Dolphins, first and foremost, they went out and released linebacker Matthew Judon. He started 13 games this season. He logged 19 tackles, 3 quarterback hits, and no sacks. He'll be subject to waivers. He's played in the league for 10 years. So Matthew Judon out the door for the Dolphins. But the bigger news for the Dolphins is they've benched Tua Tagovailoa. It looks like Quinn Ewers is set to get a start.
Yep.
Make it make sense.
Well, I'm going to give it my best, but I can't make any promises. So first and foremost, you have to understand Dolphins are out of the playoffs. So what's the point of trotting Tua out if he's taking one too many shots to the dome? Number 2, you have an opportunity to kind of build up Quinn Ewers, get him some good reps, and perhaps have him compete for the starting job next year. Because I'm a firm believer that Tua Tagovailoa, God bless him, is on his last legs. He might retire early because of all the concussions he's had over the years, and he's starting to kind of, I don't know about act weird, but there have been reports that said that, because of the multiple concussions and the issues and the brain issues that usually accompany them, they vary by case to case. But the rumor is that Tua is starting to deteriorate. even if you don't want a quarterback that young to start deteriorating in any case. But I think Mike McDaniel just took a look at the wall and said, I see some writing here, and the writing's telling me to start the kid and tear this thing down and build it back up.
Yeah, if you recall, Ewers was a quarterback for the University of Texas. There, he went to the playoffs with them. He started in front of Arch Manning there last year, and he went in the 6th round, if I'm not mistaken. Didn't have himself a really great combine, but really had himself a nice pro day, had himself a nice college career, knows how to spread the ball out a little bit. So we're going to see how he works out. Didn't do real well during the preseason, but he wasn't bad.
He was a 7th round pick, number 231.
7th rounder. I thought he went 6th, so I mean he went even lower than I thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So very strange indeed. It's not like he doesn't have talent. He has plenty of talent. Yeah. But I think what might have held him back is his performance at the combine, and just that he doesn't have those it factors that high-end teams are looking for out of an NFL quarterback. Yeah,
little lack of arm strength, things of that nature that Quinn Ewers didn't have. Didn't have a ton of zip on the ball, if I'm not mistaken. So things like that. But looks like Quinn Ewers getting ready to draw the start. Let's talk about the Eagles going out, and we talk about shutouts. The Eagles shut out the Raiders 31-0.
Who would have thunk?
Well, I would have thunk when they said Kenny Pickett was drawing the start. But Jalen Hurts, 12 for 15, 175 yards, 3 touchdowns on the day. Saquon Barkley, 22 carries for 78 yards and a touchdown. Tank Bigsby, 17 carries for 57 yards. Jalen Hurts also carried the ball 7 times for 39 yards. Receiving-wise, Dallas Goedert, 6 receptions for 70 yards and 2 touchdowns. Devontae Smith, 2 for 50. A.J. Brown, 2 for 41 and a touchdown. Darius Cooper, 2 for 29. Saquon had 2 for 14. Meanwhile, for the Raiders, Kenny Pickett, 15 for 25 for just 64 yards and a pick. Christian Genti, 9 carries for 35 yards. Brock Bowers, 6 receptions for 28. Jack Betch, 2 for 17. Tyler Lockett, 2 for 10. This was pathetic. It was horrible. It was disgusting. The Eagles
they took out their frustrations on the Vegas Raiders. You almost have to feel sorry for them until you realize that their other alternative quarterback was Geno Smith, and we all know how well he's turned out. I mean, he hasn't turned out very well at all.
Well, Geno Smith was hurt. I mean, and that's why he wasn't in this game. But Geno dealing with the injuries and whatever the case may be, he's set to possibly come back this week. But I mean, this game was the very definition of I've used this term before, prison shower sex. I mean, that's basically what.
No, yeah, it's and it also didn't help things that they're coming off a 3-game losing streak here. So they just said, okay, enough is enough. We're angry. We're taking our frustration out on somebody. Hey, Kenny, line up under center and we'll take care of you.
Yeah, they beat the brakes off Kenny Pickett. So I mean, that's about all. I mean, in the words of Forrest Gump, that's all I got to say about that. Next up, let's talk about the Texans beating the Cardinals 40-20.
I would like to start before we get into this. This is okay. So we were talking about this off air, and now we've talked a lot about the Kansas City Chiefs and how they've been perennial playoff contenders. And, and we came across some interesting piece of information that there was a way that if the stars were aligned, that the Chiefs could be eliminated from the playoffs this week. The following things had to happen. The Chiefs had to lose to the Chargers. The Bills had to lose to the Patriots. The Bills had to beat the Patriots. The Jaguars had to beat the Jets. And the Texans had to beat the Cardinals. If all 4 of those things happened, the Chiefs would be gone. Well, item number 1, step on up.
Yeah, item number one, the Houston Texans do beat the Arizona Cardinals 40-20 here. Just a thrashing by the Texans. The Texans, C.J. Stroud, 22 for 29, 260 yards, 3 touchdowns. Jawar Jordan, let's talk about this. Woody Marks gets hurt in this game. He didn't practice this past Wednesday due to an ankle injury. Jawar Jordan goes off for 15 carries for 101 yards. This guy might be one of those unsung hero running backs that we wind up seeing down the stretch here.
I mean, I didn't even know he existed till you spoke his name.
Exactly. He had a 6.7 average in this game, which was pretty interesting, but he's going to be a guy to watch. You know, every now and then you see a player that sort of emerges at the end of a season. And a guy that kind of pops on everybody's radar. A few years ago, it was Trey McBride, popped up on everybody's radar for the Arizona Cardinals because Zach Ertz got hurt in Arizona. Well, here we are, and Jawar Jordan is going to be a guy to look at because, 15 carries for 101 yards, that ain't nothing to sneeze at. Now, Woody Marks, still a great player, might wind up being a change of pace back if Jordan continues this pace. Nico Collins, 3 receptions, 85 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dalton Schultz, 8 receptions for 76 yards and a touchdown. Darren Ogunbowale gets 3 receptions for 32 yards. Cade Stover, the Ohio State man, gets 3 receptions for 22. Jawar Jordan also had 2 receptions for 17. Xavier Hutchinson, 1 for 16. So Woody Marks dealing with the ankle injury. Texans have a few other injury issues that we'll talk about. Derek Stingley dealing with an oblique injury, and Kamari Lassiter dealing with a foot injury, both the corners. They didn't practice on Wednesday, so that's something to keep an eye on. Also, defensive end Danico Autry. He didn't practice Wednesday due to a knee injury, so that's something to keep an eye on. And linebacker Aziz El-Shair. He didn't practice Wednesday due to ankle and knee injuries.
Oh, so, wow. I didn't know that he was still around. I mean, isn't he a former Denver Bronco?
Sir, a few injuries there defensively for the Texans to think about.
Right.
And now that Texans defense has been red smoking hot recently. And they are, after an 0-3 start, for the Texans to be sitting at 9-5 right now, something to think about. As for the Cardinals, Jacoby Brissett, 27 for 40, 249 yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Michael Carter, 14 carries for 56 yards. Corey Kiner, 2 for 11. Receiving-wise, Trey McBride, 12 receptions, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns. Speak of the devil. Michael Wilson, 5 receptions for 54 yards and a touchdown. He's one of those guys, again, end of the season, having a hot end of the year. Michael Carter, 4 receptions for 38 yards. Jalen Brooks, 1 for 19. I think Michael Wilson could honestly end up taking over that wide receiver 1 role from Marvin Harrison Jr. Michael Wilson's proved that he can be a wide receiver 1. And I don't think that's disputable at this point. I think he's proven that he's a wide receiver 1, don't you?
Yep, I absolutely agree. You know, if we take a look at his stats for this year, you know, if we go by like a game by game situation, we pull up Michael Carter, we get his stats for the year. Through 10 games played, he's had 28 catches out of 36 targets for 232 yards, and on an 8.3 average. Now the last couple of games though, that's where we got to keep it. We have to pay attention to. He's had quite a few good games this past week. Let's take a look at last week against the Rams. Michael Carter that day had 3 carries for 13 yards, 2 for 18.
Hang on. We're talking about Michael Wilson.
Michael Wilson. Sorry about that, guys.
Fine. Michael Wilson, over this season, so ever since the appendectomy that occurred with Marvin Harrison, Michael Wilson has popped up receiving wise. He has popped up as the number 1, filled in admirably for Arizona. Mm-hmm. And he has played, this past week, 5 receptions, 54 yards. He's played very well. I think he's actually proven that he's actually the better receiver between the two of them, in my opinion. This is one of those guys where out of he, I mean, 5 of 11 targets, 54 yards and a touchdown versus Houston. I mean, that's a tough Houston defense. He's still putting up numbers. It's a guy to think about down the stretch, and he's only 25 years old.
Had 11 for 142 yards last week and 2 touchdowns against a very game Rams defense.
Yeah, I mean, it is something to think about when it comes to this kid. So far on the season, we're talking 66 receptions for 766 and 4 touchdowns with an 11.6 average on the year. I mean, hey, this for a guy that's playing with Jacoby Brissett as his quarterback, for him to be producing in that fashion, I mean, I think we need to be having a discussion about who the true number one receiver is over there. And, is this a kind of an emergent type of guy? And should we kind of be shifting Marvin Harrison Jr. into a wide receiver too? It kind of seems that way to me.
Yeah, which is a shame because Marvin Harrison Jr. got a lot of play, coming out of Ohio State, and he's a legacy player. His father, Marvin Harrison Sr., was a legendary receiver for the Indianapolis Colts. So you have that pedigree behind you, but then all of a sudden this guy comes out of nowhere. This Michael Wilson kid comes out of nowhere, and it's like, hey, wait a minute. This is the guy we have. This is the guy we need to be putting in the wide receiver 1 spot. So yeah, it's kind of a tough spot, but we'll have to see if this trend continues. We're definitely going to keep our eye on it.
Yeah, it definitely is something to keep an eye on. I mean, the Cardinals, they're eliminated from playoff contention. We're going to see what they do down the stretch. Clearly, they need a quarterback. They're obviously going to be moving on from Kyler Murray in the future here. But the Texans, they go out and do their thing. The next thing that took place in that big four-way here was the Chargers. They go out and beat the Chiefs 16-13. The Chiefs fall to 6-8.
6-8? What?
6-8. The Chiefs. I never thought I'd see the day. This one got a little hairy, though. First and foremost, the Chargers go to 10-4. They hit double digits. Justin Herbert, 19 for 29, 210 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Omarion Hampton comes back from the injury. He gets 15 carries for 61 yards. Kamani Badal-Sassoon, 12 for 33. Aronde Gadsden, the tight end, 4 receptions for 61 yards. Good to see him getting back on track. Trey Harris, 3 receptions for 49 yards. Keenan Allen, 5 for 36. Ladd McConkey, who's been a little quiet this year, 2 for 20. Keandre Lambert-Smith gets 1 reception for 16 yards and a touchdown. Meanwhile, for the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, 16 for 28, 189 and a pick. Gardner Minshew, 3 for 5 and 22 yards and a pick. Isaiah Pacheco, 11 carries for 21 yards. Patrick Mahomes, 2 for 15 and a rushing touchdown there. Travis Kelce, 7 receptions for 70 yards. Rashee Rice, 7 receptions for 51 yards. Tyquan Thornton, 2 for 47. Xavier Worthy, 2 for 45 or 2 for 35. But for the Chiefs, man, it's basically over for them. Patrick Mahomes.
Well, yeah. Go ahead and get with this injury here.
Patrick Mahomes gets placed on season-ending IR due to a torn ACL and LCL.
Oh no!
Exactly. Patrick Mahomes is reportedly he's had them repaired, so both have been repaired. He's already entered rehab. There are rumors that he could actually be ready by week 1, which I think is crazy talk, given what has actually been said. As far look, we saw and Alex, we saw Lee McNeil get hurt around this time last year. I believe it was actually this exact week last year that we saw Lee McNeil get hurt, and he was out till week 8. Now I understand there's kind of a different weight differential there, right? I mean, Patrick Mahomes is nowhere near the size of a 300-pound Lee McNeil.
Mm-hmm.
But it's worth noting that at the end of the day, it's an ACL and LCL. I mean, and they're both torn. They both got repaired. Ain't no way you're coming back by week 1. If he's coming back by week 1, you're a cyborg. Like,
They must have put an implant in there or something.
yeah, there's something going on. But that's a thing. And also, the Chiefs wide receiver, Rashee Rice, he was placed in the league's concussion protocol after reporting concussion symptoms on Monday per head coach Andy Reid. He did not practice on Wednesday, so he's been placed on the concussion protocol as well. So Rashee Rice likely won't be playing this week. So the Chiefs, they won't be playing Rashee Rice and obviously Patrick Mahomes. It looks like Gardner Minshew is going to make the start for them moving forward for the rest of the season. Chiefs, man, it's interesting. But then
and we have 2 out of 4. It's time for item number 3.
Item number 3 goes with the Bills beating the Patriots 35-31 in a thriller. Very fun game to watch. Very exciting game. Let's talk about this one. Josh Allen, 19 for 28, 193 yards, 3 touchdowns on the day. James Cook, 22 carries for 107 yards, 2 touchdowns. Josh Allen also ran 11 times for 48 yards. Khalil Shakir, 5 receptions for 65. Dawson Knox, 3 receptions for 37 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dalton Kincaid, 34. Josh Palmer, 1 for 16. Ty Johnson, 3 for 15. And James Cook also had 2 receptions for 4 yards and a touchdown. Meanwhile, for the Patriots, Drake May, 14 for 23, 155 yards and a pick. The big story for the Patriots was Travion Henderson, 14 carries, 148 yards, 2 big-time long touchdowns. Ramondre Stevenson also had 6 carries for 50 yards in this one. Mac Hollins, 4 receptions for 41 yards. Kayshon Boutte gets 1 for 30 yards. Ramondre Stevenson, 3 for 27. Stephon Diggs, 3 for 26. And Hunter Henry, just 1 catch for 18 yards in this one. Travion Henderson also had 2 for 13. The Buffalo Bills, man, they get this thing done here. Travion Henderson, we'll be talking about him shortly. The Bills keep themselves in contention in the AFC East. This one could come down to the wire with these 2 teams. The Bills sitting at 10-4. They're just 1 game back with the New England Patriots. Patriots are sitting at 11-3. I mean, the Bills, a lot of us counted these guys out, but you can't count the Bills out because nobody circles the wagon like the Buffalo Bills.
And if you compare schedules for these teams, you know, the Bills have 2 relatively easy games and a tough game in the middle. They have the Cleveland Browns on the 21st. They have the Philadelphia Eagles at home on December 28th. And then they got another home game against the New York Football Jets. Obviously, that Eagles game is going to be the toughest of the 3, and it's not even close. Meanwhile, the New England Patriots have to go to Baltimore to face off against the Ravens on the 21st, this Sunday. Then they have the Jets on the road on December 28th, and then they had a homestand against the Miami Dolphins. So, you know, you have 1 tough game and 2 cupcake games. So when it comes down to it, you know, I really, if you look at the standings, Buffalo's only 1 game back. So if both, you know, basically you have to lose to a bad team to get knocked out of the AFC East if you're the New England Patriots. You have to.
Yep, and the Patriots actually had an opportunity with a win in this game against the Bills. They would have punched their ticket to the playoffs. And the Bills said, as Alex says, not so fast, my friend. And they kept them out of the playoffs at least for 1 more week. So now the Patriots are going to have to wait to punch their ticket to the playoffs moving forward. But then the 4th part.
Item number 4. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, the Jacksonville Jaguars lay 48 on the New York Jets. They go out and beat the Jets 48-20. And the Jags, man, they go out and advance to 10-4 here. The Jags, Trevor Lawrence, 20 for 32, 330 yards, 5 touchdowns on the day. Trevor Lawrence also had 5 carries for 51 yards and a rushing touchdown to go with it. Travis Etienne, 12 carries for 32 yards to go with him. Etienne also had 3 receptions for 73 yards, 3 touchdowns. Jacoby Myers, 5 for 71. Brian Thomas Jr., 4 receptions, 66 yards and a touchdown. Parker Washington, 3 for 53 and a touchdown. Bashal Rootin' Tootin', 1 reception for 16 and a touchdown. As for the Jets, Brady Cook draws the start, 22 for 33, 176, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions on the day. Isaiah Davis, 9 carries for 58 yards and a touchdown. Brady Cook, 6 carries for 39 yards. Breece Hall gets 12 carries for 23. Receiving-wise, Adonai Mitchell, 6 receptions for 58 and a touchdown. He seems to be taking over as the number 1 receiver over there with Garrett Wilson injured. Isaiah Williams, 6 receptions for 53. John Mechie, 4 for 25. Breece Hall, 2 for 14. Just an ugly day for Brady Cook and company. And the Jets, obviously they're sort of punting on the season here. The Jets, man, they've got all kinds of problems. They're going to continue to start Brady Cook for the second week in a row in Week 16.
I mean, so what choice do they have?
Yeah, exactly. So they're going to continue moving in the Brady Cook direction. But they did, after this game, they went out and fired their defensive coordinator, Steve Wilks, after the team gave up this 48 points to the Jags. So Steve Wilks, who actually is a good defensive coordinator, but they, I don't understand how you can be mad when you went and fired all of gave up all of your defensive pieces. You give up to, Quentin Williams and you give up Sauce Gardner, and then you're wondering why you're giving up 48 points on defense. Make sense.
Yeah, I think Woody Marks has something to do with it. I think the GM has something to do with it. Not Woody Marks, Woody Johnson. You're right. Yeah, as we've always said about this New York Football Jets team, they are a government cheese organization run by a government cheese manager, run by a government cheese owner. This is the same guy that said, "Oh, we're not going to go trade for Jerry Jeudy because his Madden rating is too low." That's going to be on a loop on this show for quite some time. And if we take a look at our fine friends at Tankathon, they can't even get draft capital right. They're still picking 5th. They have the Cleveland Browns, the Tennessee Titans, the Vegas Raiders, and the New York Football Giants ahead of them in the pecking order.
Yes, I mean, it's ugly. And then what they do, here's the kicker. So the Jets have gone out and signed tight end Jeremy Ruckert to a 2-year, $10 million extension worth up to $11 million with incentives. Get this, Ruckert has just 55 catches for 427 yards and a touchdown in 4 years with the Jets.
4 years?
Yeah. So he's averaging he's averaging roughly 11 catches per season for about 105 yards.
And you're giving him 2 years and $10 million?
Make
it make sense.
And in the meantime, your tight end that you just drafted, who's one of the best tight ends that came out of this last draft, Mason Taylor, he's not practicing due to a neck injury. He's not set to play this week. But, hey, at least you got Jeremy Ruckert for $5 million a year. This is exactly why the Jets will never be a good organization, and they will be garbage moving forward, even with Aaron Glenn at the helm. This team is just inept. Their general manager, their ownership group, they're inept. They're stupid. I can't stand them. They're ridiculous. But one team that isn't inept.
Well, I got 2 things to say. 1, sell the team. And 2, because of this 4th item, because of these 4 things that we listed, again, we got to really briefly, Texans had to beat the Cardinals. Bills had to beat the Patriots. Jaguars had to beat the Jets. Chargers had to beat the Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs have been eliminated from playoff contention.
Yep, for the first time since 2015, we will not see the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs. Just crazy to think about. First time in the Mahomes era. It's very well, really. I won't even say since the Mahomes era, because I mean, during a couple of those years it was the Alex Smith era, right?
Right.
So I mean, but for the first time since 2015, we will not see the Chiefs in the playoffs, which is interesting. Real quick, before I jump in further here, I want to talk a little bit real quick. We've got a game that's coming up here. Rams and Seahawks just kicked off not too long ago. I want to point out Seahawks offensive tackle Charles Cross. He is out for this game, this Thursday night game versus the Rams due to a hamstring injury. Even Rappaport reported that Cross is likely to miss 2 to 4 weeks. Josh Jones is set to draw the start for that game. So we're getting ready to roll with that. I am taking the Rams in that game. Devontae Smith, the Rams wide receiver, is also listed as doubtful. He had headed into that game versus the Seahawks due to re-aggravating his hamstring injury. He injured that on Thursday night, or he injured that this past week against the Lions Sunday afternoon. So we'll be talking about that game shortly, but I'm taking the Rams in that game.
Make it 2.
Yep. As for Boots, because we don't want to miss the deadline there, Mr. Bootleg Better, if I can pull up his message here. Mr. Bootleg Better is taking the Seahawks. He says, "We fly high." But let's continue jumping into some of these scores. Moving into the Commanders beating the Giants 29-21. This is basically a who gives a shit game, really, at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Two bad teams. The Commanders go out and win 29-21 and kill more of their draft stock. Marcus Mariota, 10 for 19, 211 yards and a touchdown. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt gets 18 carries for 96 yards and a touchdown. Bill Krosky. Marcus Mariota gets 10 carries for 43 yards. Scary Terry McLaurin finally shows up when it doesn't matter. 3 receptions, 69 yards and a touchdown. Deebo Samuel, 3 receptions for 43. Ben Sinnott, the Senator, gets 1 reception for 36 yards. Noah Brown, 1 reception for 28. Meanwhile, for the Giants, Jackson Dart, 20 for 36, 246 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Tyrone Tracy, you better call Tyrone
Tracy.
Tyrone Tracy, 15 carries, 70 yards, and a touchdown. He had a 4.7 average. That's the second week in a row Tyrone Tracy's had a pretty nice week. Theo Johnson, 3 receptions, 72 yards. Wan'Dale Robinson, 5 receptions for 54 and a touchdown. Darius Slayton, 4 for 53. Daniel Bellinger, 3 for 35. And Tyrone Tracy also had 3 for 27 and another touchdown. He had a big game against the Commanders. The Giants, I mean, hey, they stink. But the Commanders, they have shut down quarterback Jaden Daniels for the rest of the season. Mariota is set to start the rest of the year. I don't blame them. Take note, Bengals. That's what you're supposed to do.
When you are this far out of the playoff race, when you know the season is over, you take your superstar quarterback, you sit him down, and you heal him.
Thank you. And also, because we missed this in the Jaguars game, the Jaguars are signing wide receiver Jacoby Myers to a 3-year extension that keeps him with the team through 2028. I love it. I love it. Yes, I love it. Look,
keep cashing them checks, as Jalen Rose once said.
But you know what? Here's my thing about this. You know, you were wondering, and we were sitting here going, what do the Jacksonville Jaguars just not know? It was like apparent that they didn't know what in the hell to do with Travis Hunter. It was just very apparent. Oh, do we make him a corner? Do we make him a receiver? What do we do? And they went out and they traded for Jacoby Myers after Travis Hunter got hurt and tore his ACL. And Jacoby Myers, he hasn't been perfect for them because he's new to the system. And usually when the trade deadline rolls around, a receiver isn't going to be good for a new team right off the rip. We see it all the time. They get traded mid-season or at the trade deadline, and they just, they don't put up those gaudy numbers that you expect them to put up because they're going to a new team. They're not going to figure everything out right away. But when that second season rolls around, if they wind up sticking around with the team, a lot of times they evolve into a better receiver and a better player in that scheme. What this tells me is that you're going to see a lot more Travis Hunter on defense next year. That's what it tells me. It tells me you're going to see Brian Thomas Jr., and you're going to see Jacoby Myers as your number 1 and number 2 receiver, and you're going to see Travis Hunter playing a lot more corner next year. And I think that would make a lot of sense for the Jacksonville Jaguars. It almost makes too much sense. And that way you don't have to question what you're doing with Travis Hunter. You don't have to think about it. It just makes a lot more sense. But in any case, Jacoby Myers, welcome to Jacksonville for the next 3 years. He'll be with the team through 2028. But back to the Commanders and Giants. Hey, the Commanders out here screwing up their draft capital. I get it. You play to win the game. Commanders go to 4-10. The Giants go to 2-12. The Giants are currently picking number 1 overall in this year's NFL draft. Hey,
And the Commanders tumble to 8.
yeah. And for the Giants, it's a good problem to have, right? Because in their situation, they already have a franchise quarterback in Jackson Dart, who's actually working out quite well for them. You have Malik Neighbors as a number one receiver. You have Cam Scatterbo, as long as he comes back healthy next year. You got Cam Scatterbo ready to go. You've got a good front seven. You need corners. You have Wan'Dale Robinson, really, who's a good wide receiver too. He's turned out. You have Theo Johnson, who's a good tight end. He's proven to be a good tight end. They have the pieces in place to make this a good team. You need a coach. You need corners. You need a safety. You probably need a safety, maybe a second one, but at least one. And you might be having a different conversation about the New York Giants here.
Yeah, so at this point, here's a question that you need to pose. Do the New York Football Giants trade the number 1 pick to get a superstar?
If it was me, if I was the New York Giants, I wouldn't be trading it for a superstar, but I would be looking at a team like the LA Rams, who we don't know what's going to happen with the Rams after this year. The Rams are in a situation where they have not 1, but 2 first-round draft picks, including one that's, if I'm not mistaken, sitting in the top 10 right now.
Atlanta traded that pick away to the Rams, and that is the 10th pick in the draft.
Yeah, so if I'm the New York Giants right now, and I have the number 1 overall pick, I'm going, okay, Rand, you're going to give me both your first-round picks for this year, and you're going to give me your first-round pick next year, and you're going to move up to number 1, and you can have your quarterback of the future. Because it wouldn't surprise me if the Rams went out and won a Super Bowl this year if Matt Stafford hung them up. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. And then you're going to go get your quarterback of the future, whether it's Fernando Heis Mendoza or whomever it is. If it's Dante Moore, if it's Diego Pavia, any of them. You're going to find your quarterback of the future if Matt Stafford does hang him up after this year. And I have a feeling that if the Rams hoist another Lombardi, that Matt Stafford may wind up hanging up the cleats. And we might be having a different conversation about the Rams, and we might be having a different conversation about that first-round pick. And the Rams make a lot of sense to move up to number 1, and the Giants, they have no need to be picking at number 1. There's no sense in it.
Which, it's sad and ironic because for the last several years, Giants fans have been pounding the table to draft a quarterback, a quality franchise quarterback. And, and it's like, and then they screwed up their draft capital last year. They had an opportunity to pick at number 1. They tumbled to like 3 or 4 or maybe lower. But
it was 6, actually.
To number 6. So, Giants fans have suffered. It's like, we got all the pieces. We just can't get a quarterback. Well, maybe now you have one in Jackson Dart. And the saddest thing is, hey, if this keeps up, you're picking number 1 overall, although they do have 3 games left. They do have the Vikings, the Raiders, and the Cowboys. You know something? I would not be surprised if they walked into Vegas, and especially if Kenny Pickett still draws the start, the Giants might get a nice, an unnecessary win, in Vegas to once again have them tumble out of the top spot.
And it wouldn't surprise me one bit if the Vegas Raiders wound up with the number 1 overall pick. Don't be surprised if that happens. Vegas is that bad. Next up, let's talk about the Bears. The Bears go out and beat the Browns 31-13. Hey, the Bears looking like
the monsters of the Midway once again.
This is my what did I say? What did I say? I told you guys the Chicago Bears were going to wind up being a team that's sitting atop the division. They're battling with the Packers to try and win the NFC North. This Bears team was unsung and underrated. Everybody thought they were going to be bottom feeders in the NFC North. Trust you me, I knew that they weren't going to be, and they've been proving to not be. They're sitting at 10-4, double-digit wins. Caleb Williams, man, goes out and does his thing here. He goes 17 for 28, 242, 2 touchdowns, mistake-free football. DeAndre Swift, 18 carries, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kyle Monangai, 11 for 33. Receiving-wise, Luther Burden III. Luther gets 6 receptions, 84 yards. DJ Moore, 4 for 69, 2 touchdowns. Colston Loveland, 4 for 63. Cole Kmet, 2 for 28. It was a really nice day for the Bears. Meanwhile, for the Browns, Shedeur Sanders, 18 carries or 18 up for 35, 177. 3 interceptions for Shedeur on the day. Shedeur also had 2 carries for 24 yards. Quinshawn Judkins, 12 carries for 21 yards. Isaiah Bond, 2 receptions, 89 yards. Harold Fannin, 7 for 48. Jerry Jeudy, 2 for 22. Malachi Corley, 1 for 10. It wasn't a pretty day for the old Cleveland Browns.
No. But in their defense, they're running into one of the better defenses in the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah.
They ran into a brick wall.
Yeah, it was a
It was a shellacking. I mean, let's not sugarcoat it here. It was an absolute shellacking. And as we played the schedule game for the Bears, since they're fighting back and forth with the Packers for this division lead, and guess who they got on Saturday night, December 20th? Who do they have? That's right, the Green Bay Packers. You want to put some distance between yourself and your division rival? This is the time to do it, because you're only sitting a half a game in the lead. You're sitting at 10-4, but the Green Bay Packers, with that dastardly tie with the Cowboys, are sitting at 9-4-1. So, if you want to punch your ticket to the playoffs, if you want to get some distance between you and the Packers, you need to win this game against the Packers. And guess what? It's on Soldier Field. You're at home. If nut cutting time was a football game, it's Saturday night.
Yeah, absolutely. And those Saturday night games are going to be huge ones. They become almost primetime games. Really, I mean, at the end of the day, they become primetime games. For the Bears, I'm enjoying the emergence of Luther Burden III. We're kind of seeing a little more of him because of the injury to Rome Odunze. Rome Odunze dealing with a foot injury. Luther Burden III, however, he is dealing with an ankle injury now. He didn't practice on Wednesday. Burden has been ruled out for this upcoming week. So all that opportunity is suddenly gone for Luther Burden III. The Bears are also dealing with DeAndre Swift being limited in practice on Wednesday due to a groin injury. But they have opened up the 21-day practice window for linebacker Tremaine Edmonds, who was placed on IR due to a groin injury several weeks ago. So we're going to see the Bears getting some guys back this upcoming week with Tremaine Edmonds and whatnot. So get excited, Bears fans. I mean, Tremaine Edmonds, one of the best linebackers in football. Kind of an exciting thing for them. Next up, let's go ahead and talk about the Detroit Lions going ahead and dropping a heartbreaker to the Rams, 41-34. Matt Stafford doing Matt Stafford stuff, 24 for 38, 368, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Kyren Williams, 15 carries for 78 yards and 2 touchdowns. Blake Corum, 11 carries for 71 yards and a touchdown. Puka Nacua Poo-Poo, 9 receptions, 181. Colby Parkinson, 5 receptions, 75 yards, 2 touchdowns. Devontae Adams, 4 for 71 before he suffered that groin injury. Davis Allen, 3 receptions for 16 yards. And then Kyren Williams, 1 for 10. Meanwhile, for the Lions there, Jared Goff, 25 for 41, 338, 3 touchdowns on the day. Jahmyr Gibbs, 13 carries for 38 yards. David Montgomery, 7 carries for 32 yards and a touchdown. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 13 receptions, 164 yards, 2 touchdowns on the day. Jamison Williams, 7 for 134 and a touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs, 4 for 20. And then Khalif Raymond gets 1 for 20. Look, this was the Rams. They played the game that they wanted to play. I mean, there were moments where they dipped into zone and the Lions burned them on it. But ultimately, when they started bringing that blitz and popping Goff in the mouth in the second half of this game, Goff got a little rattled and things got a little bit ugly from there. But that first half, the Lions were torching this Rams team. At one point, they were up 21-0 really early in this game. And the Rams come roaring back. Goodness gracious. What a big game.
Yeah, and so here's my takeaways from this game. You know, as I'm wearing the Honolulu blue shirt and cheering my Lions on, there's 2 things of note. Number one of the touchdowns that Colby Parkinson received was called on the field as a touchdown. Instant replay shows that his knee was down like at the 2-yard line or something, and the ball was nowhere near the line to cross to get to the goal line. It should have been a first down, not a touchdown, but for some crazy reason, the call was upheld. Now, so let's just call a spade here. The Lions got hosed on that call. However, if you take the glasses off, if you take the shirt off, and then you put on your thinking cap, here's the deal. Colby Parkinson, let's say that touchdown gets turned around. It's still first and goal at the 2 or the 3 or whatever. The Rams could very well have scored a touchdown on the next play. So
it likely would have been a Kyren Williams or Blake Corum touchdown. Let's be real, the way that they were running the ball.
Right. It could have been. I mean, we also could have had a goal line stand. You never know, unfortunately. Now, here's the other part of it, though. Here's the thing that ground my gears when I watched the game. So the Rams were able to run the clock down to about 23 seconds. So the Lions get the ball back. It's like, okay, it's 2-minute drill here. You have a couple of shots to get to the end zone. You need a touchdown to tie it and go to overtime. So you would think, okay, Goff's going to throw to the perimeter. Either Jameson or Amon-Ra. Amon-Ra being the best possession receiver in football. He'd get the ball, get to the sticks, get out of bounds, stop the clock. What do these guys do? Jared Goff throws it to I think it was St. Brown. Or one of the two. He threw it to one receiver, and then the receiver flipped the ball to another guy. And I don't know if it was Amon-Ra first and Jameson second or the other way around. All I know for certain is they did some hickory-dickory. Here comes some trickery, and he gets tackled in the middle of the field. And you have to haul ass to get up to that line. And, if the referee is not in the right spot to put the ball down, if your guys are not lined up properly, you don't have an opportunity to snap the ball and spike it. So the clock ran out on him. So whose fault is that? I blame the coach. Yeah, I blame Jared Goff, sort of. I blame the receivers for not getting to the sticks and getting to get out of bounds. But ultimately, that comes down to coaching. And what if I'm starting to pick up on the fact. I've picked up on the fact for several weeks now that Dan Campbell is not an X's and O's guy. He's not.
He's not. And I agree with you. I think the thing about the catch. People can. The call it was ticky tacky. Iffy. I was like, it should have been probably down at the 1. But at the end of the day, they gave it to him. I was surprised they gave it to him. I was like, okay.
Yeah, it was very, very, very strange. But again, that would have been first down and goal. They would have had 3 more downs to get a touchdown.
And the claim was that he was bobbling the ball as he was going down, and then he maintained possession after the bobble. Yeah, after the bobble when he got over the goal line. So that was what they were maintaining there. But I digress. I thought it was, to me, it should have been at the 1. I agree with you. He should have been at the 1. But it's hindsight 2020, right? And at the end of the day, does it change the fact that maybe all that really would have done if the Lions would have had that goal line stand, they would have went to overtime. Right. The Rams could still have easily won this game. Yeah, it was the Rams. They fired back on all cylinders in this game, and the Lions didn't. Especially in the second half, they didn't seem to have many answers for what the Rams were doing. The second half of this game, the Rams, they dipped into a heavy man coverage. And what they were doing is they brought a lot of blitz, and especially off the edges, they started bringing some safety blitzes, which I thought was pretty interesting. Cam Curl coming off the edge a lot. The Cam Curl, they were bringing him a safety blitz off the edge and really just railed Jared Goff a couple of times. Goff got hit, just blasted on a couple of occasions. Josiah Stewart got a hold of him a couple of times. So we got to see that. And once Goff, I've been saying this for a while, And we got to see this a couple of years ago in the Baltimore game. We got to see it a couple of years ago when against Seattle. We got to see it against the Niners in the NFC title game. We got to see it against Washington, especially when the Washington game, Goff got hit. And, I'm still convinced he was concussed in that game. But, we got to see it when he got hit in the Washington game. He threw the 3 interceptions. We got to see it in this game now. When you rattle Goff and you bring that blitz and your blitz hits home, that's when he doesn't perform well. And there's been, we had a discussion on our Twitter page. A guy was going on and on about how, well, Goff's been great against the blitz. Well, folks, he's also for the last 3 years had one of the best offensive lines in football. Like, let's not forget that. You have
Penei Sewell up there.
Yeah, you had Penei Sewell and Taylor Decker, and you had Frank Ragnow, and you had one of the best offensive lines in football. You can't sit here and just say, oh, well, and then the question, well, they were only above average. Okay, what's only above average? They were ranked 12th, folks, 12th, and then the next year they were ranked 13th one year and then 12th. So, but an above average offensive line against the blitz is a bad thing.
Yeah, how is that a bad thing?
Yeah, an above average offensive line against the blitz, and it's like, oh, okay, you're pretending like he has some sort of shitty offensive line in front of him. No, they're a really good offensive line, and they've been good been a good offensive line. So you can't sit there and pretend like it's only Jared Goff that's been good against the blitz. He is one of the best offensive lines in football. Period. End. That's what it is.
And the Rams are one of the best defenses in football.
Yeah, and this year, the Lions' offensive line hasn't been as good as it has been in previous years, which is why Jared Goff has been getting hit a lot more, and he hasn't been as good against the blitz. But the big thing about it is what we've learned is that when that blitz is capable of hitting home, when you can hit the blitz home, is when Jared Goff gets rattled. And usually, ladies and gentlemen, this is just football 101 here. Usually, when you bring a blitz, you are dipping into man coverage. So bring blitz, dip into man. This is why I always tell people you have to dip into man coverage when you
play these Detroit Lions.
Because you dip into man, you bring blitz. And then what you do is you blast Goff. And then that's another thing. People are saying, well, Goff has been notoriously good against man coverage. No, his receivers have been notoriously good against man coverage, because what goes on is you have to bring blitz and you have to rattle him. He's got 2 very fast receivers, one of which is the best possession receiver in football. So what does he do? He's got one of the, if Jamison Williams is running a 9 route down the field, he can create that separation in man coverage. But if you bring a blitz that can hit home on Jared Goff, there you are.
He's not going to be able to throw the ball in the first place.
Exactly. You have to be able to collapse the pocket quickly and then get Goff to panic and make these panic throws, which creates interceptions. The pressure creates the panic throw for Goff. At the end of the day, it's about creating pressure. It's in the words of John Gruden, it's all about that pass rush. That's what it is. You have to do that to beat Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions. That is what you have to do, and that's what the Rams did in this game. That is the formula for beating the Detroit Lions, and they did that in this game, and they won. And they won handily in the second half. In the first half, they played a lot of zone, and if you look, that zone coverage got absolutely torched, including on one of those big, deep, those long runs there by Jamison Williams. It was an underneath throw, and Jamison Williams took it right to the house. I mean, it just is what it is. You cannot let them take anything underneath, because Jamison Williams in particular is so fast, and Jahmyr Gibbs is so fast. You can't just say, oh, hey, let them take anything underneath and get a full head of steam and make a play with their legs. You can't let the Lions do that, because as soon as you let them do that and give them open space, it's problematic. You have to play man-to-man. But I digress. The Rams go out and punch their ticket to the playoffs with that win. They move into a playoff situation. The Lions, however, they only have a 40% chance of making the playoffs, and things got a little bit worse for Detroit as offensive tackle Taylor Decker, he didn't practice on Wednesday due to a shoulder injury, so that's something to keep an eye on for Detroit. They're going to have something to look at moving forward at the offensive tackle position. Next up, the Seahawks, a very concerning win for the Seahawks. They go out and beat the Colts 18-16. The Seahawks move to 11-3. Sam Darnold, man, he goes 22 for 36, 271. Zach Charbonnet, 8 carries for 31 yards. Kenny Walker, 9 for 17. Jackson Smith-Njigba, 7 receptions for 113 yards. He's been the best receiver in football this year. Rashid Shaheed, 5 receptions, 74 yards. Cooper Kupp, 5 for 46. A.J. Barner, 3 for 27. For the Colts, old man Phillip Rivers draws the start, 18 for 27, 120 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Jonathan Taylor gets 25 carries for 87 yards, just a 3.5 average for him. Amir Abdullah, the former Detroit Lion, 5 receptions, 32 yards. Michael Pittman, 3 receptions for 26. Tyler Warren, 3 for 19. Alec Pierce, 1 for 16. Josh touchdowns, 3 receptions for 13 yards and a touchdown. Jonathan Taylor also had 3 for 14 on the day. The Seahawks, man, they stay right in lockstep basically with the Rams. The Rams have punched their ticket to the playoffs. The Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson did return to practice after a 2-month absence due to an orbital bone fracture, but it looks like the Colts are going to be sticking with Phillip Rivers moving forward. I don't think they're going to be putting Anthony Richardson back out there anytime soon.
Yep, he is. He is indeed out for Monday Night Football against the 49ers.
Yes. But the Colts, I mean, they're technically still in the playoff hunt. We're going to see if Rivers can get them into the playoffs, man.
Listen, it would bring back the whole mid-2000s full circle. I mean, it's the Patriots in the lead. The Colts are in the playoff mix. Phillip Rivers is starting at quarterback. I mean, we've basically fallen into a time machine here.
Yeah, it's just a crazy fiasco, but here we are.
And if you take a look at these last 3 games, they're not very easy. You know, the 49ers are a very formidable defense, but they do have 2 home games. You know, they're hosting the 49ers, they're hosting the Jaguars, then they got to travel to Houston to close the season against the Texans. So really, if I'm a betting man, I don't think the Colts are going to make it.
Me neither. I think that once Daniel Jones went down, and I never thought I would say this. I never thought that the playoff chances would hinge on Daniel Jones, but here we are.
We never really thought that Daniel Jones would have a career resurgence after leaving the New York Giants. So here we are.
Yeah, I'm just going to go sprinkle rock salt on all the places hell froze over. But I digress. I mean,
hey, speaking of froze over.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the Green Bay Packers. Let's talk about it. Denver goes out and beat the Green Bay Packers 34-26. Denver Broncos are 12-2, and they have punched their ticket to the playoffs. The Broncos, they go out and beat the Pack. Bo Nix, man. Hey, you know, Boots was talking about how he didn't think Bo Nix could have a signature game and win a big one. Let's talk about it. Bo Nix, 23 for 34, 302 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks.
Holy smokes.
Very tough Packers defense. R.J. Harvey, 19 carries for 65 yards and a touchdown. Nix also had 7 carries for 10 yards. Cortland Sutton, 7 receptions for 113 yards and a touchdown. Troy Franklin, hey, it's Franklin, 6 receptions, 85 yards and a touchdown. Lil Jordan Humphrey, 3 receptions, 42 yards and a touchdown. Marvin Mims, 4 for 29 yards. Michael Bandy, 1 for 20 and a touchdown. Evan Ingram, 1 for 12. He was spreading the ball out. Bo Nix was on fire in this game. As for the Packers, Jordan Love, 24 for 40, 276 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Josh Jacobs, 12 for 73 and a touchdown. He had a 6.1 average on the day. Matthew Golden, 3 receptions for 55 yards. Jaden Reed, 5 for 55. Luke Musgrave, 4 for 52. Romeo Dobbs, 2 for 36. Christian Watson, 3 for 29. Josh Jacobs had 2 receptions for 19 and a touchdown. I mean, the Broncos, they rocked this game. I mean, that's just what it was. They started in the second quarter scoring, and they did not look back, and they hammered on the Packers.
Yeah, and it's like, the Packers, to their credit, they kept it within a one-score game.
Yep.
Say what you want about them, but Jordan Love, in November and in December, he becomes a gamer. We saw it last year. We saw it the last couple years. But they just ran into a brick wall with the Denver Broncos. And if we take a look at the schedule game, they got a very pivotal matchup against the Bears. The Packers do. Then they have to go. Then they have to host. Then they host the Ravens. Then they have to go to Minnesota to finish off the season against the Vikings. So 3 pretty tough games, one after the other.
Well, things got tougher for the Packers, though, a lot tougher, and here's why. First and foremost, running back Josh Jacobs. He didn't practice Wednesday due to knee and ankle injuries. He's listed as questionable versus the Bears, so we might not see Josh Jacobs on the field. The good news for them is that they did open up the 21-day practice window for running back Marshawn Lloyd, the former USC product. He was placed on IR several weeks ago due to calf and hamstring injuries, so they did open up the practice window for them. However, wide receiver Christian Watson, he didn't practice Wednesday due to chest and shoulder injuries suffered in this game versus the Broncos. And then they follow it up, the big one. This one was brutal. Edge rusher and linebacker Micah Parsons placed on season-ending injured reserve due to a torn ACL. So Parsons out for the rest of the year. They acquired him in the trade with the Cowboys, and now Micah Parsons. I mean, and it was crazy to see. What blew my mind about the torn ACL thing from him? He was walking off on the damn thing. That's the crazy thing to me, is that big bastard was able to walk off on it. You got to be some type of different animal to actually be walking off the field without help on your own will with a torn ACL. Just insane. Insane.
Absolutely insane. That just speaks to how much of a beast Micah Parsons is. Given his youth and given his toughness, he'll come back from this injury. But it could not have happened at a more inopportune time.
Yeah, but it couldn't happen at a more you don't want to cheer on injuries, but for Bears right now, this couldn't have been a more opportune time for the Chicago Bears, because they're right now fighting for a spot in the NFC North. If the Bears wind up, and they've got right now going into a game against the Packers, they're in a situation now where the NFC North, this could have a different outcome than that first game where they lost 28-21. Hey, if they split with the Packers, they're right back in this thing, right?
Yep.
So here we are. The Chicago Bears have a real opportunity to jump back up and take back the NFC North and be the contenders that everybody, that at least I thought they were going to be going into this season, that nobody thought that they were going to be. Moving into this next game, let's talk about the 49ers beating the Tennessee Titans 37-24. The Niners firmly in this playoff race here. They're 10-4 right now. The Titans, they're at 2-12. Titans sitting very high in the draft order here. Cam Ward, 18 for 29, 170 yards, 2 touchdowns. Tony Pollard, 14 carries for 104 yards and a touchdown. He had a 7.4 average on the day. That was his second big week in a row. Gunnar Helm, 4 receptions for 49 yards and a touchdown. Van Jefferson, 1 for 43. Chigo Conquo, 4 for 43. 4 for 33 in this game. And Elik Ayomanor gets 1 for 17. For the Niners, Brock Purdy, 23 for 30, 295, 3 touchdowns. He's been good since he came back. Christian McCaffrey, 22 carries for 73 yards and a touchdown. Ricky Pearsall, 6 receptions for 96 yards. George Kittle, 8 for 88 and a touchdown. Juwan Jennings, 3 receptions for 37 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then Demarcus Robinson, 3 for 36. Hey, the Niners have been looking good. They get another W here. They've had one of the softer schedules in football, which has worked to their benefit. Do I think the Niners are going to go anywhere past the first round? Probably not. But let's be real. The Niners are still making something of this situation, and they're still firmly in the playoff hunt. And if they wind up making the playoffs, okay, I'm not mad at it, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not mad at it either. And the good news is They have a pretty, medium matchup against the Colts. Then they got a pretty tough matchup, at home against the Bears on December 28th. The real thing is, and again, this is another one of those Week 18 matchups where win and you're in. It's Seattle versus San Francisco, and it's in San Francisco. So they have the home field, but time will tell to see what that's going to shape up with. Because if we take a look at the division standings, Seattle's got a 1-game lead on the 49ers. And if we take a look at the Seattle Seahawks schedule again, they're playing the Rams right now. Then they got the Panthers and the 49ers. Yeah. So, really, it's really going to come down to Week 18. Honestly, if both of these teams are on a collision course, and if we take a look at at the very opening day of the Week 1, the Seahawks fell to the 49ers 17-13. And kids, that might be, the stick that's the fork that might get stuck in them if they lose to the 49ers again.
Yeah, that might be. I mean, and the Seahawks, that would be sad because the Seahawks are actually playing really good ball.
I mean, even if the Seahawks win, the Seahawks have to keep winning to push themselves ahead. If they tie with the 49ers, the 49ers own the tiebreaker.
Yeah, that would be crazy. Speaking of the 49ers, they just a little piece of news here. They did place wide receiver Brandon Ayuk on the reserve/left squad list, officially ending his season. They're just basically going to dump him at the end of the year, is basically my takeaway there.
Yeah, so the Brandon Ayuk experiment is over.
Yeah, just 1 year after the big re-signing. And then as for the Titans, quarterback Cam Ward comes out and says that he wants a role in hiring the Titans' next head coach.
What?
Yeah, kind of interesting. I understand you want your quarterback to have a rapport with your head coach, but bro, you ain't that cool. You ain't that special.
No, you're a rookie. You're only going into year 2.
Yeah, brother, you're new here. Like you ain't that cool. Come on now.
Yeah, come on, son.
Yeah, that's crazy. Next up, last game of the week, Vikings versus the Cowboys. The Vikings beat the Cowboys 34-26 and nearly basically single-handedly eliminate the Dallas Cowboys from playoff contention. The Cowboys only have a 1% chance of making the playoffs now. After this loss, the Vikings win this game 34-26. The Vikings, man, they played good ball here. J.J. McCarthy, 15 for 24, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Aaron Jones, 12 carries for 34 yards. Jordan Mason, 10 for 29. J.J. McCarthy also ran 4 times for 15 yards and a touchdown. Jordan Addison, 2 receptions for 66 yards. T.J. Hawkinson, 4 for 66. Jalen Naylor, 3 for 47 and 2 touchdowns. Aaron Jones, 3 for 31, or 3 for 31, rather. As for the Cowboys, Dak Prescott, 23 for 38, 294. Javonte Williams ran the ball 15 times for 91 yards and a touchdown. Malik Davis did come into this game when Javonte Williams did suffer a minor injury. Davis, 8 carries for 21 yards and a touchdown. Hunter Lepke did come in as well, 3 carries for 16 yards. Receiving-wise, CeeDee Lamb, 6 receptions for 111. Ryan Flournoy, 4 receptions for 40 yards. George Pickens, 3 for 33. And Luke Schoonmaker gets 1 for 29. Jonathan Mingo also had 1 for 25. The Cowboys, man, they played bad ball here, and they do have a few minor things going on. Running back Javonte Williams was limited in practice on Wednesday due to a neck injury. Malik Davis would draw the start if he was to be out this week. Also, the Cowboys did open up the 21-day practice window for corner Trayvon Diggs. He was placed on IR several weeks ago due to knee and hip injuries. So we may see Trayvon Diggs returning sooner rather than later for the Cowboys, but how much that's going to matter with the Cowboys basically eliminated from playoff contention, we'll have to see. As for the Vikings, look, this is kind of an interesting thing. You see J.J. McCarthy, 2nd week in a row, he plays well, but he is playing against 2 very questionable defenses. The Cowboys ranked dead last against the pass. Meanwhile, The Commanders, one of the lowest teams against the pass. They're not a good team at all.
And the boons continue from there. I mean, the Vikings go to MetLife Stadium to face the Giants, so that's another government cheese team that you're probably going to get a win against. And then of course they're finishing up the season with the Lions and the Packers, so that'll be interesting. Now the Cowboys basically would have to win out to have an outside shot of winning the NFC East and maintaining the curse. Yeah. Otherwise, all the Eagles would really have to do is win another game, and they're division champs. So the curse would finally be broken. So I'm kind of torn. It's like, on the one hand, I'd kind of like to see the Dallas Cowboys like do the impossible and win their way into the playoffs and have the Eagles take a dive. But on the other hand, it's like, well, we kind of want to see a back-to-back NFC East champion for the first time in God knows how long. So, the NFC East has always been a very, strange division. It's definitely produced a lot of drama, especially late in the season.
It's always been a very volatile division, realistically. And, as for the Vikings, I mean, they have some issues going on, and we're going to see just how good J.J. McCarthy truly is in these situations. First of all, the Vikings have placed edge rusher Jonathan Grenard on season-ending IR due to a shoulder injury, so we're not going to see Grenard for the rest of the year. It means a lot more opportunities for Dallas Turner. We're going to see if Turner can step into that edge rushing role. Also, they placed safety Josh Metellus on season-ending IR due to knee and shoulder injuries. So no more Josh Metellus for the rest of the year. The Vikings are going to need to go out and find themselves another safety this offseason, preferably in the draft at some point. You got to find yourself a safety and a corner for that matter. Offensive tackles Brian O'Neill and Christian Darrisaw, they didn't practice Wednesday due to knee injury and heel injury for O'Neill and a knee injury for Darrisaw. So they didn't practice. And also center Ryan Kelly didn't practice Wednesday due to a knee injury. So the offensive line having some issues. And then defensive tackle Javon Hargrave, he didn't practice Wednesday due to a thigh injury. So the Vikings got some injury issues to tend to, some stuff to keep an eye on. So we're going to keep an eye on those things as they come around the corner. But those are our scores for Week 15. Moving into our rookie rankings, however.
Oh, yeah. Get a load of this, kids.
Buddy, this was a shakeup like you wouldn't believe. Let's talk about them. First of all, honorable mentions. First and foremost, Emeka Egbuka, he went into the honorable mentions last week, and he remains there. He's kind of flirting with being back in the top 10. He had a nice little week this last week, 4 receptions for 64 yards. We're going to see if he can work his way back onto the list. Josiah Stewart, the edge rusher for the Rams out of Michigan, still in the honorable mentions. Will Campbell falls off the list. He had a bye week last week, but he was placed on IR. He's going to be gone for at least the next 3 weeks. So that puts him back in the honorable mentions. He's going to be sitting in IR. Tyler Shuck makes his way into the honorable mentions 3 weeks in a row. He's had really good games. And then also Luther Burden III from the Chicago Bears out of Missouri, the wide receiver, he makes his way into the honorable mentions. So pretty interesting stuff there. But number 10 goes to Donovan Ezeraku. Ezeraku takes a tumble down this list. The outside linebacker and edge rusher from the Dallas Cowboys out of Boston College. He got a 76.9 PFF grade, 69.3 pass rush grade, 63.5 run defense grade. He did not do well on Sunday Night Football. He posted a sub-60 grade for the second week in a row. He had a 50.7. Per Pro Football Focus, Ezeraku's 40.3 run defense grade was the 8th worst for the week, and it left something to be desired. He recorded 2 stops, but also 5 negative plays on 19 snaps, including a missed tackle. Over the past 2 weeks, he owns a 55.1 PFF overall grade and the 10th worst PFF run defense grade with an abysmal 45.4 among edge rushers. However, the Boston College product still ranks 4th at the position in tackles for loss or no gain in run defense on the year with 10. He also ranks 2nd in the draft class in pass rush win rate with a 13.2%. Ezeraku's had a good year so far, which is why he's still on this list. But, he, struggling hard these last couple of weeks. He was ranked at 4 at one point on this list, topples down to 10. And it was unfortunate for him. You know, he probably wouldn't have fallen this far, but the guys that wound up coming up above him, he had so many people that flew up this list because they've been consistently having good weeks. And he had 2 horrible weeks, and these guys consistently had good weeks, like this next guy on the list, number 9, a guy that Boots brought up, Travion Henderson. Boots brought him up. He was considered the offensive rookie of the month for the month of November. You know, and I kind of was meh on that. But now after this past week, it's like you can't even argue it. The running back for the New England Patriots out of Ohio State, he's got a 66.8 PFF grade, 57.9 receiving, but a 73.4 rushing grade. He had 3 huge games in the last 5, including his game in Week 15 against Buffalo, 14 carries, 148 yards, 2 touchdowns, a 10.6 average. He's been playing well since Week 10. The only downside to him is he's been sharing carries with Ramondre Stevenson. But that said, at the position, he ranks 20th in rushing yards with 773, 13 in rushing touchdowns with 7, and 4th in yards per carry with 5.4. He's got 6 touchdowns in his last 5.
So if it was me, you know, I would start gently. I mean, Ramondre Stevenson, you know, the argument I was about to make, I'll go ahead and finish the thought. Push Ramondre Stevenson gently to the side, and Travion Henderson is your new bell cow back, 100%. Yeah. I would do that going forward if I was the New England Patriots. Now, here's another question, though. For Ramondre Stevenson, do you have him be the change of pace back, or do you trade him?
If it was me, I would keep Ramondre because Ramondre is still good. I don't think he's bad. I think he's still an RB2. But, I mean, the question becomes, like, from an age perspective, because Ramondre Stevenson's getting up there in the years, too. I think he's in his late 20s now. So, is he aging out? Like, do you want to keep him there? You could probably draft a running back in the 5th or 6th round and be perfectly content with that and stick him behind Travion Henderson. But at this stage of the game, like, you saw what Travion Henderson did in this game. On 14 carries, he had 148 yards. He broke off 2 giant runs in this game. Imagine if he had a full workload. Right. Imagine if you gave him 28 carries in this game. You know, I mean, this kid, he's going to start blowing up, and he's starting to understand. And it seems like Mike Vrabel is really understanding how to get him going now. It seems like Mike Vrabel is starting to register that, this is how I'm supposed to utilize Travion Henderson. Travion Henderson is supposed to be used as a guy that you get outside the tackles. And that's how he used him in this game, and it worked. So to me, I agree with you. I would be using Henderson as my bell cow, but you could probably go into the draft in the later rounds and find a running back that's worthwhile, especially in this draft class, which it's not a strong running back class or considered a strong running back class, but you always find those diamonds in the rough, like the Kyle Manon guys in round 7, the Ray Davises in the latter rounds in day 3, those kind of guys. You find those guys, and you're going to be happy. Number 8, Colston Loveland, the Michigan man, out of the Chicago Bears from Michigan, 78.6 PFF grade, 81.1 receiving grade. He graded out as the 7th best tight end in Week 10. He caught 4 or 5 targets for 63 yards. He had the 9th best receiving grade at the position with an 89.7, and he had a 68.4 run blocking grade. Per Pro Football Focus, he's up to 39 catches for 498 yards and 4 touchdowns on the season, and I quote, he ranks 8th in PFF receiving grade with an 81.1, and he has gained 206 yards after the catch and 97 yards after contact, which is 12th most. He also slots into the top 20 in first downs with 25 and explosive gains with 10. And as a blocker, Loveland is excelling in the run game with a 69.5 PFF run blocking grade, where he ranks 13th among tight ends.
And a question that I have about this, I brought this up offline, and I'm curious to know, for anyone who may not follow football as closely as us, we hear this term explosive gains, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm under the impression that explosive gains means a play of 20 plus yards. Or am I correct?
Yes.
So if he's had 10 explosive games, that means he's had at least 200 yards from those explosive gains. So, and the fact that, he has his 68.4 run blocking grade. I mean, in the University of Michigan, in the Harbaugh system, you didn't play tight end unless you knew how to block. And, and the pedigree is definitely translating here.
Yeah, it's a completion of 20 plus yards or a run of 10 plus yards. So, I mean, in his case, I mean,
you're looking at least 200 yards.
Yeah, 200 yards worth of explosive gains. And they're tracking how often players or teams break off big chunks of yardage to move the chains and score, indicating their true offensive firepower.
Yep, and yards after catch and yards after contact. You think about that. If you get hit in this league, chances are you're going down. But if you can stay on your feet and you can keep churning it and you can get an extra 2 or 3 yards after the catch per play, and sometimes the great ones get even more. And
sometimes those great ones, they turn those yards after the catch into explosive plays.
Yep.
That's what it becomes. If you put it all together, now you're really generating stuff. So, I mean, in Loveland, how many of those were explosive gains
as a result of yards after catch? That'd be an interesting statistic to track.
Yeah, so it's an interesting thing, but Loveland, he pops up this list to number 8. He was at 10 last week. He jumps up to 8. He's had himself a really nice game this last week. He's been doing great, and he's turning into a monumental weapon for the Chicago Bears here. Number 7, Jalen Walker, the edge rusher for the Atlanta Falcons out of Georgia, 73.9 PFF grade, 69.4 pass rush, 77.3 run defense. He recorded 4 pressures, a sack, and a quarterback hit on Thursday Night Football versus the Bucs. Per Pro Football Focus, the 15th overall pick from Georgia remains a top 10 run defender at the position, entering Week 16 with a 77.3. He had 12 tackles and 5 stops, and his 4.4% negatively graded play rate ranks 7th best amongst all edge defenders. He hasn't been charged with a negative play in run defense since Week 9 against the Patriots.
Wow.
Yeah, as a pass rusher, Walker ranks 2nd among the draft class in sacks with 6, behind his teammate James Pierce, who has 9. He has an 11.1% pass rush win rate, which is 5th best amongst the group. He has also had his challenge, but he's had his challenges in coverage. He has allowed 5 of 6 catches for 60 yards, a touchdown, and 4 first downs. His 147.9 allowed passer rating ranks 2nd worst at the position, and he sports a 53.8 PFF coverage grade, which is why he's not higher on this list, because his coverage has been a little sus. But his job as an edge rusher ultimately, and he's been great in run coverage, he's been great as a pass rusher. It's just the pass coverage is the questionable thing there. Otherwise, he'd be climbing here, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, he would. We dumped on the Falcons defense all last year because of their ineptitude, but I think this year, they've, as a whole, have improved tremendously. And it's due in part to this young man.
Yeah, their defense, like ranking wise, isn't phenomenal. They're still near the bottom of the league. But from a pass rush perspective, it's been way better in the front 7. They've been harassing quarterbacks more. If I'm not mistaken, they ranked dead last when it came to sacks last year. So, I mean, for them to be getting just from these 2 guys alone, to be getting, these 2 rookies, a combined 15 sacks, that's huge, so that's a big deal. So that's nice to see for them. At 6, Teteroa McMillan, he falls 3 spots here. The wide receiver for the Carolina Panthers out of Arizona, 77 PFF grade, 77.1 receiving. He caught just 2 passes for 25 yards against the Saints. It marks his 3rd consecutive game with a 60 grade or less. He's currently had the 9th worst receiving grade at the position since week 12. Per Pro Football Focus, still the Arizona, and I quote, still the Arizona product continues to have his bright moments. His 21-yard catch against New Orleans came from the slot, where he now has caught 16 of 19 passes for 202 yards and 2 touchdowns. 13 of his slot receptions have moved the chains, and he ranks 7th in both yards per route run with a 2.3 and passer rating when targeted with a 124.1 from the slot. McMillan owns the 11th best PFF slot receiving grade entering week 16 with an 81.6. Ted McMillan, he's been really good this year, but the last 3 weeks he has been struggling heavily, and I don't know why. He's been a little hit or miss, and I just don't know where these struggles have suddenly come from, because he hit a hot streak for a little while there, and he was able to even salvage a couple of bad weeks by at least catching a touchdown. But man, it's been a rough go for him for the last 3.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you tend to think, okay, maybe it was the caliber of teams that the Panthers faced, because they've definitely had their fair share of tough defenses. The Bills, the Packers, the Falcons, the 49ers. They had a squeaker against the Rams, one of the best defenses in the league. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're up there. Seattle Seahawks, who they're going to have coming up. But, even the Cowboys gave them a run for their money, even though, Cowboys gave up 30,
Yeah.
So, it's like Carolina has been one of the weirder teams in the league this year. And, it's been hot and cold, bought and sold. But one thing about Ted McMillan, we knew he was talented coming out of college. We knew he had the juice, as it were. So we're excited to see where he goes from here. But if he wants this team to go to the playoffs, he's going to have to up the momentum a little bit.
Yeah, he's got 3 games, and he's a little over 100 yards away from breaking 1,000. We'll see if he can do it. Number 5, Kelvin Banks, debuted on the list last week, pops up this list again. The offensive tackle from the New Orleans Saints out of the University of Texas. He's got a 72.8 PFF grade, 70.7 pass blocking grade, 74.2 run blocking. He continues his hot streak. He's got a 7 out of his last 9 games, producing a 69.8 grade or better. He produces a 76.6 grade versus the Panthers this last week, ranked 14th best among all offensive tackles league-wide. He only gave up 1 sack, which was his only pressure given up in 41 pass blocking snaps. Per Pro Football Focus, he ranked in the top 15 for the week in both blocking facets, recording an 81.3 PFF pass blocking grade and a 78.0 PFF run blocking grade. He held up equally well in zone with a 74.3 PFF blocking grade and gap with a 73.2 PFF blocking grade in run schemes. The 9th overall pick has had his struggles in pass protection, tying for first among starting left tackles in pressures allowed with 39, while recording the 7th highest pressure rate with a 7.1%. Despite that, he still holds strong with a 70.7 PFF pass blocking grade. Banks also continues to stand out as a run blocker, placing 12th among all starting left tackles in PFF run blocking grade with a 71.3. Kelvin Banks has been great. That's per Pro Football Focus, by the way. That was a direct quote. Banks has been great all around. He's been excellent for 7 out of the last 9 games. He's just been tremendous. It showed up a couple weeks ago. He's gone from honorable mention to on the list to popping up the list. And here we are. He's sitting at 5. Do
you believe that this resurgence, this surge from Kelvin Banks is partially responsible for Tyler Shuck's sudden success in New Orleans?
Oh, absolutely. And you see it in so many different ways. You see Tyler Shuck being able to stand strong in the pocket, and you see how it's translating all over the field. You see Chris Olave's numbers and how Tyler Shuck has been able to get Chris Olave involved and comfortably stand in the pocket and deliver the football. you see how Tyler Shuck has been able to run the football and get the football into the end zone on his own. Tyler Shuck's had several rushing touchdowns over the last couple of weeks. You see how they've been able to act. They got Devin Neal in the end zone last week. Kelvin Banks has been really good for this team, and we knew he was really good at the University of Texas. We liked him. He was, if you recall, he was on our top offensive tackle rookies list when we were talking about our top prospects in this past offseason. And here we are, the guy sitting on our top list here. We knew he was going to be good, and he's been really, really good. I believe he was number 3 or 4 on our top offensive tackles list.
Yeah,
so,
we'll have to consult the old man notebook.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, this is good, and looking at the list, actually, I take that back. He was number 2 on my top offensive tackles list, number 2. So, I mean, I consulted my notes here, but here we are. He's sitting at number 5 on the rookies list, and he's performed exceptionally well. I love it. I love what we're seeing out of Kelvin Banks. I watched that Saints game last week, and he was tremendous, and he's done quite well. So kudos to him. Number 4, the guy we can't ignore, sitting at number 4, Jackson Hawes, the tight end for the Buffalo Bills out of Georgia Tech. Listen, 84.0 PFF grade, 80.8 receiving grade, 83.6 pass blocking, 73.7 run blocking. Well, he has only caught 13 passes for 16 targets for 161 yards and 3 touchdowns. He still currently sits as PFF's second highest graded tight end league-wide, primarily due to his blocking grades, in which he has the 3rd highest pass blocking grade in Week 15 with a 75.9. Per Pro Football Focus, he's gone 34 snaps in pass protection without allowing a pressure, and his 13.7% negative play rate as a run blocker ranks 6th among tight ends with at least 300 snaps this season. Listen,
that's tremendous. I mean, that's insane. You want to talk about your tight ends that are offensive juggernauts and catching the ball and getting all these yards. How about the tight ends that are doing the job to prevent pressure from getting to your quarterback?
Yeah, and
you're essentially getting an extra offensive lineman here.
Yeah, this is the first time we've had a blocking tight end enter this list and actually sit high on this list at number 4. This is the highest a legitimate blocking tight end has sat on this list. Usually it's we've had like the Arondé Gadsdens of the world and whatnot, and we've had tight ends, jump onto this list that were pass catchers. We've got one we're going to be talking about shortly, but Jackson Hawes getting on here, 99% of it has been because of his blocking, is pretty tremendous.
Yes.
So we got to love that. Number 3, Carson Schlesinger, the linebacker for the Cleveland Browns out of UCLA. He completely fell off of this list into the honorable mentions, comes roaring back, okay? And Boots made a hubbub about Carson Schlesinger because he was named the Defensive Rookie of the Month for the month of November. But the problem is he stunk in the month of November. But for the last 3 weeks, Carson Schlesinger has been phenomenal. Last 4 weeks, he's been phenomenal. So,
it's hard to ignore at this point.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal for the month of December. He stunk in November, but he was great in December. Why was he the defensive rookie of the month in November when he stunk? He was excellent he's been excellent in December so far, and we're about to talk about it. The linebacker for the Cleveland Browns out of UCLA, 75.8 PFF grade, 67.9 pass rush, 81.4 run defense, 64.5 coverage. After falling completely off this list due to 4 out of 5 performances spanning from week 6 to week 11, where he failed to post overall grades higher than a 54.9. Schlesinger follows it up with 4 straight excellent performances, including a grade of a 75.9 or higher in each of his last 3, and he comes barreling back up this list. In week 15, he has 4 stops, 5 assists, and a 21.9% positive grade play rate, while also adding a quarterback hit and only giving up 2 targets for 14 yards on the day, ranking 9th at the position. I mean, per Pro Football Focus, the second rounder from UCLA is the 16th ranked run defender at the position by PFF run defense grade with an 81.4. He ranks in the top 10 among linebackers in tackles, stops, and stop rate. He's got 53 tackles with 34 stops and a 9.6% stop rate in run defense. And although he's tied for the 5th most missed tackles, which is 10, they're now coming in at, and that was one of the big problems in November, by the way, was all the missed tackles. Because of how well he's performed recently, they're now coming in at an 11.5% rate, which is the lowest clip among linebackers in the top 5 in that category. So Carson Schlesinger, well, he was named the Defensive Rookie of the Year in November, and he stunk during that stretch. So I don't understand why he was named the Defensive Rookie of the month in November. He should be named the Defensive Rookie of the month for the month of December because he's been phenomenal for 3 to 4 weeks now. I mean, it's just baffling, and nobody's talking about him right now. But he should be the Defensive Rookie of the month for December. But he's been tremendous for 4 weeks now. It started right at the end of November. Well, the last week of November, he was great, and it's continued right into December. I like Carson Schlesinger a lot. He flies back up this list after the big dip falling off. He jumps back up, and this is the highest he's been. He's up at number 3 here. Gotta love it.
Yep, I love it too. You know, and you know, the last week's game against the Bears, you know, the Bears put up 31 points, but you know that doesn't tell the whole story. Yeah. If you take a look at these numbers that Pro Football Focus has posted, you have, you know, a potential linebacker situation where if he keeps improving year over year, you're going to see a truly stalwart Cleveland Browns defense start to emerge, and you know it's starting with this guy. You know, I 100% agree that you know the performance he's put on, the numbers he's put up, you know, he should be considered for Defensive Rookie of the Year of the month of December. Yeah. But you know, there's still 2 dudes ahead of him, and one of them dropped down a peg, and I'm a little surprised about it. You want to talk about him?
Yeah, let's talk about Tyler Warren, the tight end for the Indianapolis Colts out of Penn State. He's got a 68 PFF grade, 70.6 receiving grade. He had his 3rd bad week in a row. Produced just 3 receptions for 19 yards. And while some of that may be attributed to the quarterback shakeup in Indianapolis and the fact that they're playing the number 1 ranked Seattle defense, Warren still struggled in each of the last 3 weeks. He produced a sub 60 grade in each week. 2 of them, he produced a 52.2 or less run blocking grade. That said, at the position, he still ranks 7th in receptions with 63, 4th in yards at the position with 718, and 13th in touchdowns at the position with 4. But Tyler Warren, man, he's just been struggling for 3 weeks. Quarterback problems that's an issue, facing some really tough defenses, and man, he falls from 1 to 2. He was holding strong at that number 1 spot, and now not so much. He gives it up.
Well, I'll tell you what, they have 3 weeks to make up the difference. You know, he has 3 weeks to break 1,000 yards. That'll pad his numbers a little bit. That'll pad his stats. You know, if he can somehow, you know, he and Phillip Rivers and the rest of the Indianapolis Colts, along with that defense, can get them into the AFC South, you know, past the Houston Texans, past the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, that is a tough, tall order because Jacksonville's in the driver's seat right now. Yep. But they have opportunity to make waves these last 3 games because the 2 teams that are ahead of the Colts are the last 2 opponents on the schedule. So, you know, you have an opportunity here. Don't screw up. You need this game against the 49ers, and you need it badly.
Yeah, the Colts basically got to win out to get in. I mean, that's what it comes down to. They have to win their last 3. And number 1, we've been talking about this guy for a few weeks. Alex, you were surprised he didn't jump up to one last week, but he gets it this week. Armand Membu, the offensive tackle for the New York Jets out of Missouri, 72.8 PFF grade, 72.8 pass blocking grade, 75 run blocking grade. While Membu did give up a sack in week 15, it was also his only pressure given up on the day. Ironically, we said the same thing about Kelvin Banks. It was the only pressure he gave up on the day on 41 pass blocking snaps versus Jacksonville. He logged 73.4 pass blocking grade on 77.9 zone run blocking grade. Per Pro Football Focus, the 7th overall pick from Missouri is PFF's 16th highest graded tackle heading into week 16 with a 72.8 PFF overall grade. He owns a 6.3% pressure rate and a strong 72.8 PFF pass blocking grade, and remains equally strong in run blocking, where he ranks among the top 20 tackles in impact block rate with a 12.8%, as well as a defeated rate of just 11.3%. Armand Membu's been on a hot streak for about 7 weeks now. He had a down week a couple of weeks ago, but beyond that, I mean, he's just been going. He's been one of the best right tackles out there. He's been one of the best linemen that came out of this draft class. He's got, as far as linemen go, he's got Kelvin Banks sort of nipping at his heels here. But, you know, he could wind up being our rookie of the year. But we might be having a conversation. We could be having a conversation about Kelvin Banks. We could be having a question about Carson Schlesinger. We could be having a question about Jackson Hawes, for Christ's sake. I mean, this could be an interesting.
Yeah, we could get some earthquakes these last 3 weeks of the season. I mean, boys, sharpen your pencils and, you know, sharpen your cleats and, you know, stretch out. You got your work cut out for it if you want to win the Rookie of the Year for the Outside Blitz.
Yeah, and you're going to see guys that are going to be climbing this list. We got 3 games left. It's a lot of excitement, man, and we're all fired up. But as it currently stands, Armand Membu is leading the race right now for our show's Rookie of the Year. And Alex, we're going to jump into our picks this week, our predictions.
Spoilers.
For week 16 in the NFL. So far, as it currently stands, I'm sitting at 150, 73 and 1. Alex, you're at 134, 89 and 1. And Boots is at 126, 97 and 1. I had my lead cut into by 3 by Alex this week. So that one was a little painful, but I took some risks. We got 3 weeks left in the regular season. Plus, we've got wild card weekend. We got divisional round. We've got
divisional round, and then
chips, and then the Super Bowl. So we got all those to jump into for these guys to catch up to me. So I just have to maintain at this point.
You just got to maintain the lead here.
Got to maintain. So let's jump into some of these. Boots has sent his picks in. So let's jump into these. Here are our predictions for Week 16 in the NFL. We already gave our Thursday Night Football matchup. That's currently taking place right now. The Seahawks currently leading the Rams at halftime, 7-6. Moving into this Eagles game, versus.
I'm going to have to pump the timeout. I refreshed the screen, and at halftime, the Los Angeles Rams are actually leading the Seattle Seahawks 13-7 as of this moment.
Oh, it just refreshed for me as well. I take that back. I stand corrected.
No, that's all right. They must have scored a last-minute touchdown or something.
Yes, they did. It said, well, yeah, it was reading It's reading halftime 7-6, which is weird. But yeah, they are leading 13-7. You are correct. So anyhow, the Rams currently leading in that game. Boots takes the Seahawks. Alex and I both took the Rams in that one. So we have that one all situated. Next up, Eagles and Commanders. Look, the Commanders are garbage. The Eagles just took out their frustrations on a really bad team, and they're going to continue to do so. Give me the Eagles.
Yeah, me too. With this win, we can all but guarantee that the Philadelphia Eagles will punch their ticket to the NFC East and the playoffs. Give me the Eagles.
Yeah, and Boots takes the Eagles as well. He says, "We fly high." Caw-caw! So we got the Eagles with that. Next up, we got the Packers and the Bears. Um, Look, I think the Packers are in deep trouble, and I think the Bears are going to take this one and split it. Give me the Bears.
Yeah, big to do in the NFC North. Probably the biggest game of the year for the Bears. You know, and they do have a showdown with the Lions at the end of the season, and the Lions could somehow, some way play spoiler if things kind of line up that way. But man, if the Bears win this game, they're in the driver's seat for the NFC North. Give me the Bears because of the Micah Parsons injury.
Yeah, I'm going with the Bears as well. Boots takes the Packers here. They says the Packers need it.
That is true. They need this game.
Yep. So he's going with the Pack. Next up, let's talk Chargers and Cowboys. Man, oh man, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to take the Chargers here. I think the Cowboys are cooked. Boots takes the Cowboys. He says upset. I disagree with him. Give me the Chargers.
So this one is interesting. I mean, the Cowboys are basically treading water, fighting for their playoff lives. And, you know, the Los Angeles Chargers, you know, they're trying to keep up with the Denver Broncos in the AFC West. So they're 2 games behind. So clearly, I don't think they're going to catch the Denver Broncos, especially if the Broncos continue this torrid pace. But you know, but the Chargers still have an opportunity to squeeze their way into the playoffs. They're well in the hunt. You know, they're sitting at 5 seed right now. If they can stay ahead of Buffalo and Houston, you know, we could see them, you know, the first division team out of the first 4. Go ahead and give me the Chargers here, but expect the Cowboys to be in win or die mode here. Yeah,
I agree with you. Next up, Vikings and Giants. Boots takes the Vikings. He said, "Who is for real?" I'm going with the Vikings here as well. I think the Giants stink. I think the Vikings are just busy screwing up their draft capital. Give me the Vikings.
Yeah, at this point, it's like, you know, it's a good way to build confidence with J.J. McCarthy. It's kind of like trying to build momentum for next season to hope that, you know, dumbing down the offense continues to be a thing, and maybe he'll sharpen his skills up a little bit too. But man, this Giants team, without Cam Scatterbo, without, you know, Malik Neighbors, forget about it. Give me the Vikings.
Yeah, I agree with you. Next up, Bengals and Dolphins. It's truly this is one of those who gives a shit matchups. Both teams basically eliminated from playoff contention. Both of them having all kinds of issues. Tua's benched. I don't believe in Quinn Ewers. Give me the Bengals because they're starting Joe Burrow.
What did Boots say about this game?
Boots says he's going with the Bengals too. He says Dolphins are done. Is Zach Taylor done too?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
You know, and if you really want to have hope, sell the team. Now, That said, not so fast, my friend.
Wow.
Here's why. What have we said about the Bengals all year long? And we've had a couple of games where it came up like this. Bengals put up 35, lose by 3.
Yep.
You know, they put up 40. They put up 42 against the Bears, lose by 5. Yep. So same situation here. Bengals are going to score big. They'll lose by 5 or a field goal.
Yeah, I can see that very well happening.
And it's in Miami, so it's a home game for the Dolphins. They have a chance.
Yeah, they always have a chance, especially with that bad Bengals defense. Next up, Bucks and Panthers.
Round 1.
Round 1. Yeah, this one's going to be a fun one. Panthers, Bucks are floundering. Panthers are sort of floundering, kind of.
It's kind of like it's kind of like watching 2 guys, you know, do a marine crawl through barbed wire to try to get to the finish line.
Yeah, I'm going. Boots is taking the Panthers. He says, "Don't hurt me, Carolina." And look, thing. I'm going with the Panthers here. I think that the Buccaneers are in deep trouble. They've been floundering for several games now. They just lost a heartbreaker, and that something is not right in Tampa Bay right now. And the Panthers, they've been hot and cold, but something tells me because the Bucs schedule is easier, the Bucs are going to lose this one. The Panthers are going to lose their next one, and then these guys are going to wind up in Week 18 having the showdown of the century.
Yeah. And, it would be a lot more fun if, this was a division worth, which, I mean, it's fun, don't get me wrong, but it's like compared to the other divisions in the NFC South is like the redheaded stepchild, you know, and, to be fair, in some years it was the NFC West that was really bad. Yeah. But in this case, hang on, I got the coughs. I'll tell you this. I'm going to go with the Buccaneers this week, and here's why. They're coming off that heartbreaker against the Falcons, and they're on the road. So, but I feel that the Buccaneers defense is better, and and it's a division game too. And what do we always say about division games? They always hit harder. Yeah,
they do. That one's going to be a fun one. Next up, we're talking about the Jets and the Saints, two really bad teams. Boots says he's taking the Saints. He says, watch them lose now. Look, I'm going to tell you something. I'm taking the Saints too. It feels a little yucky to do it. See what I did there? But at the same time, I'm going with the Saints because the Jets are just that bad.
Yeah.
The Saints, Tyler Shuck, we call him Tyler Yuck, but we can't deny that he's been playing good ball for 3 weeks now. It feels yucky, but I'm going with the Saints.
Well, you want to know why Tyler Shuck's been playing good football for 3 weeks? Because he has Kelvin Banks on the offensive line. Yeah. Guess who the Jets have on their offensive line? Armand Membu. So you have two of the top offensive linemen in the rookie rankings list going head-to-head here in a sense. I'm going to go with the Saints as well because I'm telling you right now, something about Kelvin Banks just tells me that he will, he'll make some waves, if he does a better job than Armand Membu this week.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's going to wind up having himself a hell of a week. Next up, Bills and Browns. Boots says he's taking the Bills. He said more on this one next week. I'm going with the Bills, too. I think the Bills are on their way to trying to retake their AFC East. They're coming off that big win over the Patriots. Give me the Bills.
You know something? Not so fast, my friend.
Oh,
yeah. So here's the deal, right? The Bills come off this really big division game. Yes, they're in it for the playoffs. They're laser focused, but I'm telling you, it's you mentioned that the Bills defense is kind of questionable. Yeah. Especially since the Patriots put up so many points against him. Look for Shedeur Sanders to have himself a game here. I'm going to call for the upset. I'm calling for the Cleveland Browns to screw up their draft capital, but get one of the biggest wins of the season.
Wow. Unbelievable. Next up, Chiefs and Titans. Look, I don't care how bad the Chiefs are. I don't care how banged up they are. This team is better than the Tennessee Titans. Give me the Kansas City Chiefs right here. I have been betting against the Chiefs for a majority of this season. I don't know if anybody's noticed. And for a majority of the time, I have been right. Well, give me the Kansas City Chiefs this time. Boots right now, he's actually taking the Titans, and he goes, huh? Yeah,
It's kind of hard to believe that we've gotten to this point. And listen, if Patrick Mahomes was healthy, if the Chiefs weren't eliminated, by voodoo last week, then, I would be calling for the Chiefs all day, twice on Sunday. However, if Gardner Minshew's the guy drawing the start, I'm going with the Titans as well.
Wow.
I mean, you know what? It's like if the Chiefs lose to the Tennessee Titans this week, it's the final nail in the coffin.
Yeah, the dynasty is over.
Yep.
Next up, Jags and Broncos. This one's going to be fun. Look, I love what the Broncos are doing. I think Bo Nix has hit a hot streak here. The Jags have a really good team. Let's not deny that. But I love me some Denver Broncos. I love me some Bo Nix. Give me the Broncos.
Yep. And what did Boots say about this game?
Boots says, give me the Broncos. It's way too cold for them Jags.
And I wholeheartedly agree. If you got to travel to Mile High, you're going to have a problem, especially if you're acclimated to warm weather. So give me the Broncos.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Next up, let's go ahead and roll with Falcons versus Cardinals. This is a who gives a shit battle of the birds.
Yep.
Both teams eliminated from playoff contention. I'm actually, Boots is going with the Falcons here. He says Captain Kirk. Believe it or not, I'm actually going. I'm going to go with the Falcons here. I'm going to roll with the Falcons. I really contemplated Cardinals here, but I'm going to roll with the Falcons.
I'm going to be that guy. Not so fast, my friend. Now, first of all, it must be said, Kyle Pitts single-handedly destroyed my chances of winning our fantasy football league championship. Thank you very much. And I guarantee you he will not repeat that performance. I guarantee it. He's not going to put up 40 fantasy points, and he's definitely not going to put up the performance he had last week. Yep. And believe it or not, yes, Jacoby Brissett, the Arizona Cardinals, but it's a home game. They're playing in Arizona. Go ahead and give me the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Why not?
It's one of those games where it could be a toss-up. You just don't know which team's going to show up. Next up, Raiders and Texans. This one's a no-brainer to me. It's the Texans. The Raiders stink. The Texans are hot. The bootleg better says Texans. They're red hot. The Raiders stink. Same thing. We're all kind of in the same boat, I think.
1, 2, 3, Texans.
Yep. Texans all day. Next up, let's go ahead and roll into Steelers versus Lions. Interesting matchup here. The Lions lose a heartbreaker to the Rams. They gave the Rams a run for their money offensively. I don't think the Steelers have what it takes defensively to beat the Lions here. I'm going with the Lions. The Lions offensively are just going to be way too much for the Steelers. The Steelers defensively they're going to struggle. I think this is going to be another big offensive output type of game. But if the Lions are going to keep their season alive, they're going to have to beat the Texans. This is another one of those games where they need it.
Yep.
And Boots says the same thing. Lions, they need it. We're rolling Lions.
Yep, me too. Now, granted, it's a home game, and it's their last home game of the season. So that's another thing to consider, because let's say the Lions continue their streak of not losing 2 games in a row. Then you got to close out the division games on the road. So if you want to stand a chance of getting, of putting your foot in the door to get the playoffs, and you might even be eliminated from playoff contention before that even becomes an issue. But because they're sitting at 8-6, they're in the 8th seed, they're on the outside looking in. They better hope to God that the Chicago Bears beat up the Green Bay Packers and that the Packers continue to struggle, because that's the only way they're getting in. Otherwise, one loss and they're done.
Yeah,
so,
and the thing is, the Lions, if the math shows, as it currently stands, if they lose this game to the Steelers, they go to about a 40% chance of making the playoffs at that point.
I thought they were at a 40% chance now.
No, right now they're at 65. Oh, no, I'm sorry. If they win this game, they'll be at 65% chance.
Right. I'll do you one better. If the Lions lose this game, they're out. I'm just going to say it. They're out. Now, I'm going to go with the Lions, forward down the field. But, guys, it begs the question, is it even worth it at this point? I mean, you got to prepare for next season. If you keep fighting down the road and you finally get into the playoffs, you're probably going to head up. You're probably going to be running headlong into the 2 seed, which are, in fact, the Chicago Bears. So even if you win in Week 18 and you have that first-round matchup on Wild Card Weekend, it's going to be against the Bears in Chicago again. So, tough order.
It's going to be a tough go. And you know what? To me, the thing about the Lions is, let's say they make the playoffs. I think if they lost this week, if the Lions were to lose this week, I think it would be very poetic. And the reason I say that is because 3 years ago, we sat at my dining room table and Lions fans pumped their fists in the air and jumped and jived and danced and pranced and celebrated like they had just won the Super Bowl, because Aaron Rodgers' last throw at Lambeau Field was an interception caught by Kirby Joseph. And if Aaron Rodgers were to go into this game on Sunday and eliminate the Detroit Lions from playoff contention in 2026 in his final season, I would laugh my ass off, because that would be just poetic. That would be just the most poetic Aaron Rodgers-esque revenge that I would have ever seen. Whether or not it happens,
we don't know. For my sake, it better not.
But it would be hysterical to see that. Moving into the next one, Patriots-Ravens. This one's going to be a good one. Boots takes the Ravens in this one. Look, he said if it were Gillette, I'd go with the Patriots. Man, that I don't blame him in this situation. The Ravens still fighting for their playoff life here. This is one of those games where it gives the Bills an opportunity to really catch up with the Patriots, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I could really see this going where the way Boots says, give me the Ravens, we fly high. Caw-caw! Well, give me them Ravens. The way Boots says.
You know something? It's in Baltimore. It's Sunday night football. The lights are on bright. And, the Patriots are in the driver's seat, but they're going to run into a brick wall with the Baltimore Ravens. And, the Baltimore Ravens need it to even stay alive in the AFC North. So for that reason, because the Baltimore Ravens are the ones with their backs to the wall, give me the Baltimore Ravens. Give me King Henry, crowning Travion Henderson and stiff-arming a couple of fools, and just bowling them over like the wrecking ball he is. Roll the bowling ball, if nothing else. So go ahead and give me the Ravens on this one.
As good as the Patriots have been this year, give me the Ravens. The Patriots have fought tooth and nail, but I think the Ravens are going to be too physical of a team. And then last but not least, the Niners and the Colts. Boots takes the Colts. He says, Old Man Rivers has one last great one in him. The bold prediction, Rivers tosses 3 touchdowns and goes over 275 passing yards with no turnovers. He's taking the Colts. Look, as much as I would love to say, look, here's the thing. Niners have no pass rush. They really don't. I think this is going to be, I could see, because Rivers does have, I think, one last, every great quarterback has that one last great game in him, right?
Yep.
I don't know that Rivers has that one last great game in him. He's not going to be facing a whole lot of pass rush, though. So that could very well happen. The bold prediction could very well happen, but I don't think the Colts win this game. I think the Niners keep their playoff hopes alive. I love the Cinderella story, but I'm going with the Niners. Boots goes with the Colts.
This one's tough because the Colts need this game to stay alive.
Yes, they do.
Technically, so do the 49ers.
Yep.
These are 2 teams that are fighting tooth and nail to get into the playoffs. And, the Colts, they haven't cracked 10 wins yet. It would be astonishing if the San Francisco 49ers won 10 games but didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be insanity. But, in their defense, they probably will still make the playoffs, especially if Green Bay, stays back.
Yep.
If Green Bay loses, San Francisco could probably punch their ticket. But man, I got to tell you, I'm going to go with the Colts because they need it worse.
Man.
Plus,
wow.
you know what? Let's see if that shoe fits. Let's see if the clock is going to skip midnight. Let's see it. Come on now. Come on, Philip.
Old Man Rivers still has that one last good fight in him, huh?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, he's a dog.
Yeah, he is. And those are our predictions.
Spoilers.
For Week 16 in the NFL. Alex, we're only a couple weeks away. That's our show, by the way, folks. Before we get out of here, we're gonna talk about some of our sponsors. First of all, let's talk about It's Your Time Massage. Amanda's a wonderful massage therapist. She does tremendous work. She's the best massage therapist in the Metro Detroit area. If you're looking for a massage, if you're looking for a Swedish massage, deep tissue massage, if you're looking for prenatal massages, if you're looking for muscle scraping, CBD oil, you can add that onto your massage. You can get yourself red light therapy. You can get yourself sugar scrubs. She's going to take good care of you over here at It's Your Time Massage. Amanda is the best of the best at what she does. She is going to take excellent care of you. You can book yourself an appointment at iytmassage.com, or you can check her out at iytmassage.com, IYT Massage LLC on Facebook. There you go. And book yourself an appointment. And remember, folks, it's your time. Also, let's go ahead and talk about Patch Miracle Photography. Andrew Langland, his wonderful wife, Chantel, they are tremendous at what they do. They're the best photographers in the Metro Detroit area. If you're looking for wedding photos.
What?
Christmas photos.
What?
Birthday photos.
What?
Engagement photos.
What?
Graduation photos.
What?
If you're looking for baby pictures.
What?
Pregnancy pictures.
What?
If you're looking for that special sexy boudoir shoot for that special someone in your life.
All right.
That's what you're looking for. You're looking for patchmiraclephotography.com. They are awesome, Andrew and Chantel. They just took Christmas pictures for my little ones and myself and my wife. All the whole family, me, the wife, all the kids, the whole family, and they were so patient with the babies. We have 2 little 3-year-old twins. They were excellent with the twins, and just so calm and so patient with them. Even when the twins were having such a rough day, they were cold, they were cranky, but Andy and Chantel, they were just amazing at what they did. They took pictures of my wife and I at our wedding. They were our wedding photographers. They made me look like a movie star on my wedding night.
We'll go ahead and say Brad Pitt this time.
Hey, that's a good one. I'm okay looking like Brad Pitt on my wedding night. But they made me look like a movie star on my wedding night. They were amazing. They made an extra special night even more special. They were just amazing. They're great people. They're excellent photographers, and they just take great care of their clients. Their pictures are all of the highest quality. I highly recommend them. Check out patchmiraclephotography.com, or you can find them at Patch Miracle Photography LLC on Facebook. I highly recommend them. The best of the best at what they do. Also, let's go ahead and talk about our gaming channels that we're associated with. First, let's talk about the artist formerly known as Big Willie Dubs Gaming, now known as No Shot Bot TTV. Will, first-person shooters, man, all day, all night. He is the man with a plan when it comes to first-person shooters. You can find him on Twitch. You can find him on Facebook. You can find him on the TikTok. There's my old man moment for the day. You can find him on all those platforms. Will is very entertaining with first-person shooter stuff. He also does other things on his Twitch page, whether it's, Hot Ones challenges, whether it's eating nasty jelly beans, whether it's, threatening to shave his beard off or harassing his wife with it. He's a very entertaining dude. You should check him out. No Shot Bot TTV. He's got one of the most entertaining channels out there. I highly recommend him. Also, Alex, tell me what's going on with your channel right now over there at Steel Twins Gaming.
Well, do you like video games? Do you like theater? The Steel Twins Gaming may just be what you're looking for. Whether it's the good old first-person shooter, RPG, or your favorite story-based adventures, we think we have something for just about everyone. We got everything you need to satisfy your digital cravings, whatever they may be. And best of all, our channel has something nobody else has: voice acting. Every week, my brother and I will play a game that has a lot of text-based dialogue, and we will act it out with the voices that come up in our heads for the characters you see on screen. Sometimes we do our best to highlight the drama of the situation, and other times we just goof off to have a good time. Either way, we're sure you'll be entertained. We're on every Sunday night on or about 7:30 p.m. And don't forget about the brother channel, Steel Twins Andy. There, you'll get your full fix of Nostalgic Mondays, Nintendo Tuesdays, FPS Wednesdays, Indie Thursdays, and Open World Fridays.
Awesome stuff. Steel Twins Gaming. You guys are awesome at what you do. I love your guys' channel. Also, I love Steel Twins Andy as well, the brother channel. I check his out every now and then. The Nostalgic Monday is one of my favorite things. So, check them out, Steel Twins Gaming. They're awesome at what they do. Also, let's talk about books real quick before we get out of here. I Ate Cookies Out of the Trash. Look, it's by a wonderful new author, Tammy Pruitt. Look, this book is tremendous. It's an inspirational guide written by Tammy. It's based on her real-life experiences dealing with body image and eating issues. She shapes her book with her struggles and how to overcome them, and it's supported with research-based facts and accompanied by her professional advice as a registered dietitian. And she lets other people know that they're not alone in struggling with self-love and body image and disordered eating. Look, she's a scientist, folks.
Science.
She's a scientist. And listen, she's not your stereotypical health guru. She's not going to run she can run 7 miles a day. She's doing marathons these days, but she's not your stereotypical health guru who runs 7 miles a day and judges people for the kind of unhealthy food they eat. All right. Instead, she's the friend you never had. She's the kind that encourages you and motivates you to rise above all those dilemmas. And she takes you down memory lane in this book where life pitted challenges against her and what she did to get through them. This is a great book. This is a tremendous book. It reads like a conversation, not a boring one. It's one of the best books out there. I loved it. I read it. It's fantastic. I highly recommend it. You can get it on all the .coms, barnesandnoble.com. You can get it at applebooks.com. You can get it at amazon.com. Check it out. I Ate Cookies Out of the Trash by Tammy Pruitt. Get yourself a copy. Have yourself a read. Get yourself a cup of coffee. And really check this book out. I highly recommend it. She is amazing at what she does. I Ate Cookies Out of the Trash. And folks, that's our show. Listen, we got week 16 on the horizon here. Currently taking place. The Thursday night football game is going on, so we're right in the middle of that. We jumped on the recording a little late today. We got a lot of Christmas stuff going on. It's the holiday season, so whoop-de-doo. It's been a fiasco here. The snow is coming down. We're about to have rain and ice and all kinds of stuff down here, and stuff is
So
about
be careful wherever you're driving.
Yeah, it's going to freeze over tonight. It's about to be for lack of better term, a shit show is what we call it. But listen, it's going to be a fun time this weekend for all these wonderful football games. We're going to have ourselves a blast. The NFL Combine is around the corner. We are going to that at the end of February. We've got the Airbnb reserved. Alex, myself, Boots is supposed to be going down there. I know Andy from Steele Twins Gaming is going to be going down there with us as well. We're going to be going down. We're going to be taking a computer down there, and we are going to be recording while we are down there. We're going to be recording different episodes and getting stuff down there for you guys for the Outside Blitz. We will be wearing T-shirts, so you guys will be able to identify us. You can come say hi. Don't be strangers, please. We love to hear from our fans and from the guys listening to us. One thing that did show up, by the way, I want to make sure that I'm saying hi to all of our fans and listeners in Germany and Japan. We have several listeners in both Germany and Japan, and I was just flabbergasted. We have listeners from all the way across the pond. I love that you guys are listening and tuning in. I love that you guys love listening to us. I love that you're a part of this show. That's just the coolest thing in the world, and we appreciate you guys tuning in.
Good Tag and Konnichiwa.
Yeah, dude, I love that. It's so cool. So we love having all that listenership and having you guys tune into us and listening to our show. So thank you so much for tuning in. Again, we like I keep saying, we keep getting this uptick in listenership over the last couple of weeks and the last couple of months. We've been seeing it. We've been noticing, and we just love it. Well, we also had, we had listeners in Alaska as well. It's just crazy.
Yeah, you think it's cold up here. Wait till you head over there.
Yeah, I was just blown away by some of the stuff I've seen. So you can check us out. We're within the new year. So that is something that is going to be going on. We've been talking for a while and talking for a while about how we're going to get on Spotify. That is officially going to be a thing with the new season. We're going to be putting all of our new episodes when the new season begins, which will be this off season. When we start, we're getting an equipment upgrade. And then when the new off season starts for us, we are going to start putting all of our new episodes onto Spotify. So with an account, an individual account. So we'll be able to put all of the new stuff. We'll be going over there as well. So you'll be able to check out all the new stuff there on Spotify.
It's actually happening.
Yeah, I know. We talk is cheap sometimes. We want to make sure we actually get it to you guys with the new equipment upgrades. We're going to be doing all kinds of stuff. We're going to be talking YouTube. We're going to be talking Twitch. We're going to be talking about TikTok. We're going to be talking about all this stuff and making things happen for you and making all of these different avenues for you guys to watch and listen to our podcast. We've been doing it through Steele Twins Gaming channel right now, through Alex's channel. So you guys are able to actually check out the podcast as it's happening live, which we love. And we're going to continue to do that as well while we're actually doing it on our own Outside Blitz pages. So we're excited for people to be able to join us. You can give us on Apple Podcasts. We're on Odyssey right now. We're on SoundCloud. You can give us a rate, give us a review. You can send us a message. You can find us on Twitter at the Outside Blitz Podcast. So you can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook at the Outside Blitz. So you can check us out over there, and you can send us messages and talk about our episodes. We put all of our episodes on our social media as well. So feel free to check us out. Give us a follow. Give us a rate, and give us a review. We love to hear from our fans and our listeners. So
our brethrens, our Blitz Babies, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody keeps saying, one of the big reviews that we keep getting, one of the big comments we keep getting is that the people love Boots, man. They love Boots.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's been a tremendous asset for this podcast ever since he came on a couple of years ago. And man, we've just had the pedal to the metal. So yeah, but it's going to be fun. So here, So here's the football. Here's the week 16. The playoffs are right around the corner. We're at the finish line almost. And here's the chaos as well.
Yeah, because that's what's going on. So thank you, folks, so much for listening. And we'll see you next time right here on the Outside Blitz.
You're probably talking about us because we're the only ones to talk about. Ciao.
Your voice sounds a little hoarse there, Alex.
I've had the coughs for a couple